We are live at Canada Stadium in Winnipeg on a Saturday afternoon. It's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Edmonton Eskimos. Stay tuned for the CFL on CBC. With quarterback Ricky Ray in fine form, the Edmonton Eskimos have wrapped up first place here in the West. That's earned them an extra week off to prepare for the Western Final, and they hope to ride the winning momentum all the way to the Grey Cup in Regina. Pat Barnes led Winnipeg into the end zone 3 times last week, but it wasn't often enough to overcome the Eskimos. If the Blue Bombers figure to prosper in the postseason, they'll need to step up their intensity, and they'll have to start this afternoon. On a windy and cold afternoon, we're live at Canada Stadium. Edmonton, a week ago last night, beat Winnipeg. Winnipeg in the rematch, badly in need of a win here this afternoon. They're expecting a crowd in excess of 28,000. And if you're just joining us, good afternoon from Winnipeg. I'm Brian Williams. Welcome to the CFL on CBC. The Edmonton Eskimos have already wrapped up first place. Edmonton will host the Western Final 2 weeks from tomorrow. Now, if Winnipeg wins, depending on what happens in the big game tonight in Vancouver between Saskatchewan and the Lions, Winnipeg could host the Western semifinal 1 week from tomorrow. We'll talk more about that at halftime. Speaking of halftime, the panel, Sean Millington, Greg Frères, and Darren Flutie will join me for highlights, analysis, and we'll look at the playoff picture. But right now, we're set for football on a Saturday afternoon here in southern Manitoba. We head up to the booth once again, Chris Walby and Mark Lee. Mark?
Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, will this be a day, Chris, of redemption for a former dedicated, decorated defensive back in this league? I'm talking about Marvin Coleman, a 3-time CFL All-Star. He's been banished to the practice roster the last 2 weeks, and he's back on the corner today.
You know, sometimes you judge a football player what he does on a football field. I also do when he's not playing. Here's a guy that when he sat down, he was demoted. He didn't sulk. If anything, he worked harder in practice, and he actually coached the players that were replacing him on the football field. I like his attitude. You know what, Richie's given him another chance. He says, I know what Marvin Coleman will give me. He's been here before. I expect big things out of him today.
And he's on the firing line against the likes of Ricky Ray, and how about the 2 home run hitters in Ed Hervey and Jason Tucker?
Boy, these are home run hitters. These are big play guys. These are guys that get the touch, and every time they get one catch, they can make big plays. But you know what? I got to give credit, a little bit of credit to the secondary of the Bombers and the fact that they've held these 2 explosive receivers to only 3 catches combined. Granted, one was for 50 and one was for 40. But the fact is, these 2, along with their other threat, Vaughn, have not scored a touchdown against the secondary.
I see you're wearing Eskimo colors. I inadvertently have Bomber colors on. So with all due objectivity, how about your Canadian Tire game notes?
Well, I think if I'm looking at Edmonton offensively, the biggest thing you got to do right now is stay focused, stay healthy. You know you got first place. Don't lose it. Win, go into the playoffs, but stay healthy. On defense, you know what? You got to close the Barnes door. Get after Pat Barnes right now. He had 6 sacks last week. Frustrate him in his second start. For Winnipeg on offense, the biggest thing right now is you got to have confidence. It's time to believe. You've lost 4 of the last 5. You got to get on that winning train again, and that's very important. And on defense, come on, baby. Keep creating turnovers. 7 turnovers last week. You got to hopefully keep creating more, and maybe your offense will take opportunity of them.
Game notes brought to you by Canadian Tire. Let's get started.
Flurries in the forecast as we go down to Steve on the sideline.
Thank you, Mark. About 2 hours before game time, 3 members of the Eskimos came out wearing T-shirts. I asked them about the weather, and they said, what weather? Make no mistake about it, folks. It is cold, made even colder by that wind coming out of the northwest. Both teams have the portable electronic heaters on the sidelines, and that's where I'm heading right now. I am no fool. Guys?
All right, Steve. Tom Higgins saying, with first place wrapped up, we're going to play our A-team today and go to the Western Final on a roll. He said Edmonton's the team to beat. I'll tell you that now, and I'll tell you that after the game, whatever the outcome. And on the other side, he's batting down the hatches. Dave Ritchie has the best record in the past 3 years of any CFL coach. But you know what they say about potential? It's the greatest coach killer, and this is a team that has not been able to finish. They went to the Grey Cup in 2001 and lost to Calgary. They went to the West Final last year and lost to Edmonton. and they've lost 4 of their last 5 games as Troy Westwood gets set to kick it off. Edmonton won the toss, and they've deferred. They'll receive, and there's the young man, the sophomore out of Waterloo, Mike Bradley, will return the opening kickoff last week, 92 yards for a touchdown against these Blue Bombers. So Westwood kicking into the teeth of this north wind, and it's a high pooch kickoff coming down to Glenn Young, and he's rocked at the 40. Oh, the Bombers are fired up, Chris.
Well, they're fired up, and that's exactly what you want to do. Get the ball up. You're kicking into the wind. Pooch kick it. Get it up in the air. Hopefully your guys can do one of 2 things. One, get under the football, create a turnover, or do exactly what they did in this case, get one of their upbacks to catch it, and then punish him as he catches the football.
Travis Ortega, one of the subs coming into this one, making his presence felt early as Ricky Ray gets set to go to work on offense. He turned 24 on Wednesday of this week and continues to show the poise and polish well beyond his years. And he'll open with a 5-receiver set this afternoon in their first series and go to the ground. Mike Pringle, over 1,300 yards this year, and he's got but 1 on his first carry. And look at that. The man who's going 2 ways today is all fired up.
Oh, they've got it. Pringle carrying the ball. Ricky Ray at quarterback. Bradley getting the start at fullback. Mills injured. Herbie, Tucker, Vaughn, Robinson at the wide receiver. And a very good offensive line. Beaton, Comiskey, Princeton, Lefsrud, and Chris Morris, the veteran at right tackle.
Second down and about 9.5. Maurice Kelly is in on defense in this passing situation for the Bombers. In the shotgun, Ricky Ray has time, lofts one, and it's knocked down. Lamar McGriggs dropping back to bat that floater out of the air, and so Edmonton will have to punt.
Lamar McGriggs, who Coach Ritchie says should get more recognition, but he's not as media friendly as other players on his defense, doesn't get the due recognition. Wonderful job of dropping back, outstretched hands, knocking that pass down, not letting Jason Tucker come up with the catch, forcing the punting situation.
This Bomber defense has not had any pressure in 2 games against the Eskimos, but they've done a terrific job of the secondary. As Sean Fleming gets set to punt, he's got a 41.9 yard average this year, and he hits a good one here with the wind. Charles Roberts at his own 28, looks for a seam, scoots through it, and he's caught up by Donnie Brady as he crosses the 40-yard line. A 42-yard punt for Fleming and a 13-yard return. Pat Barnes in his second start this year for the Blue Bombers. Back-to-back against Edmonton. That should help him, he says, with his reads. He had trouble last week with a 3-step drop, and he was dropped himself 6 times in the sack category. A man who was coaxed out of retirement early this season out of California to come back. He says he doesn't want to hold a clipboard in this league. He's got a chance now to show his stuff as the starting quarterback. They'll go on the ground, and the league's leading rusher is wrapped up after a few right up the gut.
Well, nice job by Albert Reese. Let's take a look at this offense. Roberts, Pat Barnes, second start. Big Mike Sellers, the fullback. Stoddard Stiegel, Reggie Jones, the Slovak. Marcus Howell had a breakout game last week against these Eskimos. Jermise Jones, Getbay, Elwanibi, Wilson, Matt Sheridan at tackle.
Dave Ritchie says they're going to run the ball right down Edmonton's throat today, but they've got a tough situation here. A passing down, 2nd and 7. Here comes the blitz. Pat Barnes steps up, it's too high, and intercepted. Robert Grant has it for the Eskimos, and he's still going with a convoy of blockers. There's nobody back for Winnipeg, and Grant will score.
Hey, who's going down on
Touchdown, Eskimos, and the starting quarterback is hurt.
Pat Barnes sat back there like a trooper, waiting for Reggie Jones to find the opening back in that zone coverage as he let the ball go. He overthrew it, but he took the punishment hanging onto the ball, and we see he's down on the field right now, clutching the knee as we see Robert Grant celebrating the interception and return for the touchdown. Just simply overthrown. Grant dropping back, picks up his 5th interception. He had a 71-yard interception for a touchdown earlier in the year.
A 60-yard return, and this is the injury. The first pass of the game by Barnes, not only picked off, but he got chipped down low like Quincy Coleman came in low, and this is a disastrous situation.
Well, this is one of the things they always talk about We can't see if Quincy Coleman was blocked into Pat Barnes, but there is a league ruling on this, Mark, that you're not allowed to hit the quarterback below the waist when you're not being blocked into the quarterback. Have to take a look at that as we see Kahari Jones, who is suffering a high ankle sprain, not expected to play, did not want to play today. We saw him earlier warming up, and of course the third stringer who might come in as well, Brian Stallworth,
who's yet to throw a completed pass this year. He's only had 2 attempts, Chris. But this is a disaster because Kahari Jones, with that ankle injury, they don't think he'll be ready for the playoffs, let alone being pressed in now after one offensive pass and interception by the number 2 man, Pat Barnes. But there's Robert Grant celebrating a 60-yard pick return for a touchdown.
And the thing, Mark, Robert Grant, who has set an Eskimo record for return yards after interceptions, another one, 5th interception of the year. A guy they picked up from the University of Hawaii. They feel he was a little too slow to play halfback, but would make a great cover linebacker. And you'll see him switch, and he'll do a lot of different things. Actually, Robert Grant, during the game, will drop back to safety, but they'll bring the halfback up, play his spot. They do a lot of switching to try and confuse the quarterbacks.
So Barnes is up and moving gingerly to the Bomber bench. And the Eskimos will attempt the convert, scoring first here on defense. And when Edmonton scores first, they're unbeaten this year with an 8-0 record. Fleming, the point after, is good. And so the Eskimos strike early, and they shock this crowd here in Winnipeg. A 60-yard interception return for a touchdown. Robert Grant, and the number 2 intercepting defense in the league, strikes early here in Winnipeg.
Well, the nice thing is they're going to start running a lot of crossing routes, as you see right there. Now take a look. Here is your one free guy, and he's going to come in here. Here's the safety. That's Robert Grant. It's just overthrown. He had the right receiver picked out. That was open. Just overthrew him, and Robert Grant, recipient of that interception, he takes it all the way back for a 60-yard return and a touchdown to give Edmonton the early lead.
So an ill-fated passing attempt. Grant, as you mentioned, savoring his 5th interception of the year, 2 of them for touchdowns, so he's been deadly as a scoring force on defense for Edmonton. Fleming with a high end-over-end kick taken by Marcus Howell at his 15-yard line. Howell's got a big hole up the middle. He's got some speed, breaks some tackles, makes a move on Fleming. Oh, a great return. Winston October, a return man himself, has to make the tackle after a 48-yard kickoff return.
That's the way to get your team back in the football game. Special teams, as Kahari Jones back at the helm of the quarterback. Take another look at what happened to Pat Barnes on his first pass attempt of the afternoon. Quincy Coleman coming from the right side, rolls underneath the legs and catches him. And we think it's a twisted knee right now.
So Jones handing off Roberts. The play is strung out right along the line of scrimmage, and Singor Mobley makes the tackle of Roberts out of bounds. No gain on the play. Kahari Jones, you want to talk about the severity of that injury. Let's take a look at how it happened 2 weeks ago against Hamilton.
Well, just going to roll out now. As he gets held up here, the whistle goes. He's trying to fight, and you see Johnny Scott at the end. He actually gets pushed into him. He rolls on. Now, Coach Ritchie thought that was he called a cheap shot, but as you can see from that replay, he was actually pushed into him.
Doug Brown had one of those injuries last year in the playoffs. He couldn't run until February of the next year. Jones throwing smartly, and it's dropped. Marcus Howell, the intended receiver. Chris, he should have had it.
Well, once again, one of the things that has plagued Marcus Howell throughout the year is his inconsistency at making catches. He's coming off his best game of the year last week, 5 catches, 91 yards. They come back here to get a little confidence in him. He's open. He tries to go down. It goes through the old basketball hoops he makes with his arms. You got to come up with these catches. Help your quarterback out. Help your offense out.
What was we practicing for? Huh? Hey.
And so Barnes gets more attention on the bench. And Westwood tries to aim this one out of bounds, but he gets a bad bounce. October at his own 15 lures the Bombers in for a no-yards penalty, and that'll help with field position. Just a 32-yard punt into the wind and a 3-yard return. Now, Kahari Jones, likely not anticipating getting action today, has to suit up with the flak jacket.
Well, you can see right now what they're doing is they're putting a bag ice on that right knee. And as you say, Kahari Jones, who did not expect to play, is putting the flak jacket, and he looks sharp. Let's take a look. You know, on his first throw, he had the right receiver picked out. He threw the ball where only Marcus Howell could come up with it. Marcus Howell, unfortunately, could not come up with the catch.
Apparently that flak jacket came from Barnes. I guess they share flak jackets.
Cutbacks.
Ross Hodgkinson talking to the veteran quarterback. And the Eskimos go back on offense. There's some movement along the line of scrimmage. It's Pringle up the middle, still on his feet. And finally, Joe Morgan, the safety, comes in to finish him off as we check the Winnipeg starting defensive alignment.
Well, there's some changes here for sure. Fortney, Brown, Wilson, who started on offense, is also starting at tackle. Dave Benefield, their defensive player, outstanding defensive player nominee at end. Linebackers Clark, Wickman, and McGriggs. And a secondary, Coleman, Nash, Morgan, Carter, and the most consistent, Ricky Bell at corner.
John Osterhaus, the sophomore, who is helping to spell Eric Wilson on the D-line as he goes both ways today. On the ground again, Mike Pringle rumbling to a big first down as he reaches the Edmonton 40-yard line, a 13-yard carry from Mike Pringle.
Well, one of the things that's going to happen is, as you see, number 90, that's Denny Fortney. Now, Denny Fortney normally plays defensive tackle. He's worried about occupying guards and centers. They put him at the short side end. He's always going to be on the boundary or the short side. He's got to close that faster, not create that opening that Mike Pringle just ran through.
Mike Pringle reestablishing his rushing prominence in this league. And a big first down at the 40 of the Eskimos. Ray will go right back to his big back, cuts up, good block, and Harold Nash comes in to help out. Eric Wilson also in on the tackle for the Blue Bombers, and a gain of 4 on the play.
Well, just a little bit of a counter play. They're going to pull Comiskey, Dan Comiskey, from the backside, get him around as an extra blocker. Just going to pull around. Good seal at the point of attack by Chris Morris. Wilson making the play. Benefield chat. You can see Brian Clark. That's a great block by Chris Morris, nullifying any type of angle by Brian Clark.
2nd and 6, Eskimos. Rolling the pocket, it's Ricky Ray with pressure, throws it downfield. Tucker is open, but the ball was too far. Donaldson in coverage, but that time Lamar McGriggs got in to put some heat on the Eskimo quarterback, heat that hasn't been present from this Bomber defense this year.
Mark, that's exactly right. They have not sacked Ricky Ray in either game this year. As a matter of fact, they've hardly pressured him. He's been very comfortable back there. Lamar McGriggs doing a great job of getting there, putting Ricky Ray one of the few times on his back.
Even with that pressure, Ray showing his arm on that wide side toss intended for number 83. Here's the quick snap. It's Mike Bradley on the fake punt. He's broken into daylight. Bradley still going as he beats Roberts and finally pushed out of bounds by Roy. And so another huge trick play and a big special teams return from the young man who took one back last week.
Well, Mike Bradley, who was a special team player of the week for that 92-yard opening kickoff return for a touchdown last week against these guys. A little bit of trickery right now. Just going to play the left up back on the punt team. Gets around, good blocks at the point of attack, and he shows the speed. He says, you know, I'm an unknown quantity. They don't understand that I've got some wheels, and you give me some opening, I will burn you.
Chris, that's 47 yards. For the young man from the University of Waterloo. He's short, he's fast, he's athletic. They say he's a special teams prototype, and he's having some great late season success. Play action now. Ray drops it back to Pringle through the air after taking the fake, and he'll have another Edmonton first down. Last week, Pringle was 5 catches for 100 yards, and ironically, the leading receiver for the Eskimos.
Well, and this is what a lot of it is. A little play action, then it'll bring Pringle back underneath. It's a little bit of a shovel pass, and they give it to him, and he's really making some good things happen out of this play. He's done it against every team. He's found success against every team. If the defensive end takes Pringle, Ricky Ray will run with the football or look for somebody else downfield.
Well, Dave Ritchie was saying the other day, the Eskimos can beat you a million ways with that shovel and then throw the deep strike to Hervey and Tucker. First down at the 12 of Winnipeg. Here comes the blitz. Ricky Ray throwing a corner to the end zone. Terry Vaughn. Touchdown, Eskimos. Terry Vaughn with his 7th receiving touchdown of the season. And Tim Carter, the rookie out of Tulane, subbing for Milo Lewis, beaten on the play.
Well, the accuracy of the throw is what amazes everybody. Ricky Ray just goes back in a little bit of a drop, and he's got such a beautiful touch on the football. He throws it where Carter has no chance to defend the play. The coverage isn't that bad, but it's thrown where only Terry Vaughn, or as his teammates like to call him, touchdown Terry Vaughn, comes up with another one.
Point after from Sean Fleming is good. And early here in the opening quarter of this football game, Terry Vaughn has put Edmonton up by 2 converted touchdowns. Vaughn caps a 7-play drive as the Eskimos take advantage of the wind.
Well, you have to be able to work together as an offense. Now here is Beaton, and here is Brian Clark coming on a stunt. Now watch this. He has to recognize that. Pringle goes out and picks up the free man. That's David Benefield. That allows Ricky Ray to have the extra second to throw this football. That's working together. That's knowing who you have to block in every situation. And when you blitz, that puts your cover guys in man-on-man. What happens? Tim Carter, he plays, but he plays the guy so far inside that he allows Vaughn to get to the outside to come up with a catch.
So Carter gets a taste of this vaunted receiving corps. And the Bombers will try again on offense, but Reggie Jones will let that one go out of bounds. Ricky Ray, Chris, with that touchdown pass, that's his 35th of the season. He's now just 1 touchdown pass away from tying the team record set by Warren Moon and Tracy Ham. So a sophomore player already establishing huge record numbers.
Well, outstanding company, but you know, look at the composure. You never see it. This is a guy that after he throws a touchdown pass too, you never see him get real excited and start pumping. He's so calm and cool. You know, it reminds me seriously of a young Danny McManus. I mean, maybe a little bit more athletic. Maybe Danny would argue with me on that one as well, but.
So the Bombers will take the ball at their own 45 after that kickoff went out of bounds, and it's Kahari Jones with a 3-step drop, throwing down the seam, looking for Reggie Jones. Reggie Jones in 3 games this year has only got 1 catch, so they're trying to get him busy early. As we take a look at the last drive, and they started it, Chris, on the ground with Mike Pringle. Then the fake punt. Mike Bradley rumbling 47 yards down the Bomber bench and setting up this passing play to the end zone, the 7th touchdown catch of the year and of Terry Vaughn's, and the 35th thrown by Ricky Ray. 2nd and 10, Blue Bombers. 5 receiver set. Sellers drops back to help block for his quarterback. Jones firing. That one's on target. Reggie Jones has it for a big first down. So they're getting the big receiver who was cut by Ottawa this year into play early.
Well, you talked about the fact that it's his 4th game. He only has 1 catch, but it's really only his 2nd start. So we're going to give him a little break on this, but they've really tried to go after him early in this football game, get him involved in this offense. But the 3rd ball they've thrown his way, the 1st completion.
And the first down of the game for the Blue Bombers. At the 44 of Edmonton. On the ground, the league's leading rusher, who's had tough going. Now he breaks one. Gets some blocking, and he'll have a gain of about 6 on the play as we check the Eskimo defense.
Well, defensive line, Kinney, Reese, Charbonneau, Abdullah, the lineman of the week. 3 sacks last week against the Bombers. The linebackers, Mobley, Gass, Grant, who will also switch around and play a little safety today with that interception. Frank Garrett, Coleman, Brady, and Crutchfield.
2nd down and about 3.5. Bombers with Kahari Jones pressed into service after the injury to Pat Barnes. Handoff to Roberts. He's hit hard as he crossed the 35, and he'll be close to the first down, but about a yard shy. Last week it was tough going for this man, Charles Roberts. 9 carries, just 24 yards on the ground, and they abandoned the ground game.
Well, I think that's the key. 9 carries is not a typical game that Charles Roberts likes. He needs to carry. You'll ask any back, they want to carry at least 20 times because they feel that the more opportunities they have, the better feel they have for the blocking schemes, the better feel they have for breaking one. Yeah, it was tough going. You got to give credit to the Eskimo defense. They did a nice job when he did carry the ball, but I really believe when they got a guy with the explosiveness of Charles Roberts, you have to give him the ball more than 9 times.
There's the measurement, and you can see the ball is less than a yard from the first down marker, so it will be third down, Blue Bombers. Dave Ritchie has been trying to challenge his football team to live up to its ability with 1 week left in the regular season. Play whistled in, 3rd and 1, in a gambling situation for Kahari Jones and the Blue Bombers. Jones will hand off to big Mike Sellers, and he'll bust his way to a Blue Bomber first down.
Mark, here's an interesting scenario as we see
Wait a minute,
Wilson.
there's some of the bad blood we talked about.
Eric Wilson getting involved with Dorian Boos. They're right into it again. There's no love lost. They realize it. They talked about Edmonton, says, you know what, we've got first place, but they know they may have this option of having to play these guys again in that West Final. Set the tone now.
Even Tom Higgins was getting into it. Normally the mild-mannered head coach of the Eskimos, saying we'd like nothing better than to ruin their party and help send Winnipeg packing to the East playoff crossover. There is no love lost between these two teams. So Ken Lazarick sorts out the call.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Winnipeg number 67. After the first down's been gained, first down Winnipeg.
See, there's a point of taking penalties, there's a point about being aggressive, but there's also a point of not taking a penalty after the play. And you can see right there they are, they're just going to get up. He's got him down, he just gets penetration. Now Wilson blows up and he gets over there, he gets in his face.
God, the flags are flying like the leaves here in Winnipeg. But Wilson, who's going both ways today, gets the retaliation. And it pushes the Bombers back just inside the 50. Jones looking to the end zone for the other Jones. He's got it! Oh, what a catch by Reggie Jones!
Mark, that's simply a case of who wants the ball more. Reggie Jones, who we talked about, they're trying to get him more involved in this offense, just goes down the field. The coverage is tight. Donnie Brady is there. He just turns around. He finds and locates the ball and goes up and with his hands grabs the football. Does not allow that ball to come into him. He goes after the football.
A 28-yard gain on that terrific catch by Reggie Jones. Kahari Jones now audibling at the line of scrimmage. First down Bombers. Jones throwing the corner pass to Milt Stegall. It's too far. He was wide open.
One of the things they're doing is they're going after. They are actually attacking the secondary of the Eskimos, going deep, not staying with what they've usually done, which I find very conservative, the little dump-off passes to the running backs and the fullback. They're going after them. They're going to make the secondary of the Eskimos earn their keep this afternoon.
Milt Stegall last week, 4 catches, 96 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The lone bright spot this Bomber game. 2nd and 10 from the 21. Jones throwing deep to the end zone again for Reggie Jones. Oh, he can't hold on. Jones was open again behind Donnie Brady. The ball just off his fingertips.
2 plays in a row. 2 opportunities for Winnipeg to come away with touchdowns. 2 receivers that have beat the coverage of the secondary of the Eskimos. But once again, just past the outstretched fingertips of a streaking Reggie Jones in the back of the end zone, just cannot come up with that catch.
And so that would be the 8th play of that drive into the wind by the Bombers, and this will be a field goal attempt by Westwood from the 29-yard line. He was good on only 3 of 6 last week, one of his toughest outings of the season. Westwood strikes the ball hard, and it's good. So the Bombers are on the board after a tough start at home. Injured Kahari Jones. His coach has questioned his confidence and his abilities in the late season. You can't question his moxie here today, Chris.
Well, I like what they're doing. Look at this. 4 guys right behind Kahari Jones before he takes the snap. They're actually using some misdirection. They're hitting the line of scrimmage on the run.
Eskimos take over at the 35. Ricky Ray across the middle, wide open. Ed Hervey, and he'll dive for the first down. A gain of 11 on the play. Hervey had one catch last week, just one, but it was a big one for 50 yards.
Well, one of the things is they have so many weapons on this offense the Eskimos have. And Ricky Ray just knows what to take. I mean, here's the guys you talk about. Only second year in the league. Incredible savvy, incredible awareness where he wants to put that football.
Yes, he's a big play receiver for the Eskimos. First down situation, and they've made a substitution. Carlo Panero is into the game as a blocking back, and the Eskimos go on the ground, and they don't get much. Maybe one on the play. Panero listed as a backup offensive lineman, but because they don't have a fullback in this game with the injury to Troy Mills, they will use him to block. He's an orthopedic resident at the University of Alberta, combining his football and education this season in Edmonton.
Well, they also used this before. They had a Tim Baker, who now is with the BC Lions, ran the same thing out of the fullback. They use a lot of it in short yardage. But as you say, Carlo Panero getting an opportunity to be a skilled player.
Second down, 8.5. Eskimos, here comes the blitz. Fumble ball, and Ricky Ray gets it back. But Maurice Kelly, blitzing in from the linebacker position, gets to the Edmonton quarterback.
The first sack in 2 games of Ricky Ray. Maurice Kelly is going to come from the top side. He's just going to beat a right around the corner. Nobody blocks. He knocks the ball out of Ricky Ray's hands. Ricky Ray very fortunate to get that ball back.
So a punt situation. Fleming had a 42-yarder to open this game, and he's using the wind to his advantage again. A good high kick. And it pushes Roberts to his 25. He escapes the cover and does a terrific job of returning the ball 10 yards. A 48-yard punt by Sean Fleming. 59 seconds to go in the opening quarter of this football game. We'll remind you that it's playoff time 1 week from tomorrow. Next Sunday, the East and West semifinals on the CFL on CBC. Our coverage beginning at 3:30 Eastern. We know this for sure. The Eastern game will be played in Toronto, with the Argos prevailing by 1 point last night in a poorly played game against Calgary. A Western playoff date, though, still to be determined this weekend. Roberts on the ground, caught from behind, and he'll have a gain of about 4 on the play. Charbonneau, the only Canadian starting on this Edmonton defense to make the tackle. There's Paul LaPolice, the offensive coordinator for this Winnipeg team. He's felt some heat with the head coach wearing the headset on the sidelines and being more involved in calling the plays for the offense. What do you make of that?
Well, I think the fact is that any time you're struggling on offense, the coordinator is going to be the guy that takes some of the heat. But the fact is, Richie, who's not used to wearing the headset, will only wear it for part of the game.
Shotgun formation, a blitz. Jones gets the ball away, intended for Milt Stiegel. It's incomplete, but there is a penalty on the play.
Flag thrown on the far side of the football field at the line of scrimmage.
Dave Ritchie has been mainly a defensive coach in his career in pro football. Now he's involved in the offense.
You know, he's wearing these headsets, and he wants to find out exactly what LaPolice is setting down, the calls that he's making to his offense.
Offside, Edmonton, number 90, second down repeated.
Raheem Abdullah, who was a big force a week ago with 3 sacks, is the man who's offside, the lineman of the week. Amazing story how he recovered from a heart attack a year ago to be back in the pro game. Second down and 2 for the Bombers. Last play of the opening quarter. They'll have the wind. Jones fumbles, then flips it to his back, and Roberts is caught from behind. Another flag on the play as Shannon Garrett makes the tackle. We'll wait to see what the penalty is here.
Well, they're marking it against, or signaling it against the Eskimos, and that's a big break for the Bombers because Kahari Jones mishandled the snap.
Offside, Edmonton, number 90, first down.
Well, Greg Marshall, the defensive coordinator, upset again. 2 penalties in a row.
2 in a row, same guy. Abdullah again, a little over anxious, just basically trying to get the jump, but Kahari Jones just mishandles this as he's bringing it back to handoff. good presence of mind to actually get the ball to Roberts, even though he's brought down by Garrett for a loss. But Fernandez, the Snows were offside.
Well, you know, in this cold weather, that football feels like a brick. Jones holds on this time. Mike Sellers thundering up the middle. A big first down as he lowers the boom. 15 yards up the middle on the final play of the first quarter. The Bombers still have the ball, and they'll stay on offense when we come back to Winnipeg.
Second quarter about to get underway here in Winnipeg. The Eskimos leading 14-3. The news is nothing but bad news for Pat Barnes. He has got ice on his right knee. Officially from the Bombers, they're saying a twisted right knee. He will not play the rest of this game. Guys?
What a tough break on the first offensive series of this game for Pat Barnes.
I want you to watch. This is always a game of one-on-one. That's Mike Sellers in the back, and he's going to go against the middle linebacker, A.J. Gass. It's one-on-one. What a great move by the big fullback, Mike Sellers.
So the Bombers now have the wind on offense. First down on the ground. Oh, Mobley was right there to drop Charles Roberts in his tracks in the backfield.
Well, Mobley and Charbonneau meeting. Roberts in the backfield. Wow. Take a look at the first quarter stats. Pretty even right now, 5-4. A number of big plays. Obviously, the one turnover by Winnipeg right now that resulted in the Robert Grant 60-yard touchdown. Just great penetration at the point of attack. You talked about
there as well.
And you talked about Wilson playing at left guard. He got beat on that play.
Loss of 4, second and 14. Jones down the middle. Milt Stiegel with his first catch of the game. The Bombers' leading receiver over the middle.
Well, it took the second quarter to finally get him the football, but I think that's still an encouraging sign if you're a Bomber fan, because he is the go-to guy, the game breaker. You talk about the Herbies and the Tuckers of the Eskimos. Well, Stiegel is that same force with the Bombers.
And with that catch, Milt Stiegel has moved over 10,000 yards in career receiving. On the ground, Roberts cutting back, gets away from A.J. Gass. It's a race to the end zone. Coleman gets him down from behind. And there's a late flag. 26-yard gain. And Roberts showing his elusive ability at the line.
And I think a penalty again going against Eric Wilson. He was downfield. He was involved with one of the Eskimos down the field after the play. If it's against him, you can't do that. I understand you're excited, young man, but you're costing your team with selfish penalties. You can't do that. Play aggressive, but play smart.
So Wilson needs to be reined in. It's the second time he's been penalized and hurt his team after the play.
Major foul, Winnipeg, number 54. Major foul, Winnipeg, number 67. Both of them after the first down's been gained. First down, Winnipeg.
Throw in Matt Sheridan into that band of Lugans.
Well, they play together, so maybe it's rubbing off on each other. But look at that. It's a 30-yard penalty, so instead of getting the ball on the 3-yard line, you're now going to get it on the 33-yard line. It's unbelievable. This is something you can't have. You're talking about trying to build something, get your offense on track, get some cohesiveness going there. And what happens is you're taking after-play penalties.
Terrible. Let's take another look. There's the shot there, a real cheap shot, and it happened after the play, well away from the ball, but come on, this is a contact sport. Play action, Jones rolling, throwing downfield. Reggie Jones had it, then dropped it. Diving effort. And so it will be an incomplete pass.
Well, an incomplete pass, but again, Kahari Jones, I don't know if I've seen him throw the ball this sharply in a long time. Little play action, roll to the opposite side, puts it there. Now, Reggie Jones gets up there, he puts his hands, he gets his hands on the football, And as old Tony Gabriel used to say, the old Hall of Famer, if you can touch it, you can catch it. Reggie Jones, you got to come up with that one.
I think it was Tommy Joe Coffey who also said that back in the 60s.
Yeah, they're both Hall of Famers.
That's the 6th pass thrown to Reggie Jones today. He's dropped 3 of them. Kahari Jones rifling it to Stiegel, and he drops the ball.
I believe that one went off his shoulder pads as Milt Stiegel went down into a slide to try and cradle the football. It seemed to go off one of his shoulder pads and bounce away. He was unable to come up with a catch. But once again, Mark,
2 drops by Milt Stiegel, uncharacteristic of this man who passed the 10,000-yard milestone. And so, after having the ball on the 3 and a chance for a touchdown, it's a field goal attempt from the 41 for Troy Westwood. His longest of the year, 55. Remember that one when they beat Saskatchewan on the last play. Westwood from the left hash where he's had most of his trouble. Today, he puts it right through the uprights. So Westwood is perfect on the day, 2 for 2, and Winnipeg trails by 8. Welcome back to Winnipeg, where the Blue Bombers have hurt themselves with penalties and trail by 8. Cold enough to play hockey here in the West, as we remind you that tonight, 3 games on the slate on Hockey Night in Canada, beginning with Jaromir Jagr and the Capitals in Toronto to play the Leafs. Ottawa at Montreal, and Jose Theodore is backstopping a surprisingly strong Habs beginning to the season. And late tonight, Jarome Iginla and the Flames take on Edmonton in the Highway 2 battle out west on Hockey Night in Canada. Mike Pringle up the middle, and it's tough going there. He'll have a gain of 4, maybe 5 yards. And Eric Wilson is getting a chance to cool his jets after a couple of bad penalties, Chris.
Well, the penalty is bad in one aspect, the fact that it has no bearing on the play. It's away from the play, but the referee also has to let that go. Well, you know, it's just a shoulder tap. It is a contact sport, as you say, Mark. You know, it's one of the flags that didn't really need to be thrown.
During the break, we heard a lot of tough talk and some frustration along that Bomber sideline. 2nd down and 5. Ricky Ray throwing deep for Jason Tucker. He drops the ball. Donaldson right there. And a little bit of contact and jostling at the moment of the catch.
And what I like at the end of this play is his teammates come to him, and Dave Donaldson wants to get into Tucker's face and make some comments, and they're saying, you know what, you did a good job, you covered him, he didn't come up with a catch, let's go back to hell. A little bit of a push right there, very fortunate didn't get that call. A little pass interference on Donaldson's part right there, pushing Jason Tucker in the chest, and then he wants to get up there and start barking at him. I'm glad his teammates pulled him away.
Donaldson, the Bison alumnus, with a big play. Charles Roberts at his own 29. Big move. Oh, he makes some tough yards all on his own. A 41-yard punt and 12 hard-earned yards for Charles Roberts. Milt Stiegel, we talked to him yesterday, and we asked him what this team needs to do to get back on track.
You can have 11 guys making perfect plays. If that one guy doesn't make a play, the whole play may be screwed up. So as an offensive unit, as a defensive unit, as a special team unit, I try to tell every player just to be selfish. Make sure you're taking care of your business first and worry about what everybody else has to do second.
Wise words of advice from Milt Stiegel. Play action now from his quarterback. Kahari Jones firing to Reggie Jones. He hands on to that one. And a big first down. A pickup of 21 on the play. Reggie Jones, who had 1 catch in 3 games coming in, is the featured receiver today.
Well, a nice thing is right there, a good block at the point of attack. Matt Sheridan on Kelvin Kinney. That allows your quarterback to get to the outside, opens up his throwing lane. He's able to complete the pass downfield.
How about Kahari Jones, though, rolling and throwing with authority despite that terribly painful high ankle sprain. On the ground now, Roberts from the shotgun on the handoff, using his speed to get past the linebackers, and he'll have another first down. So for the 2nd series in a row, the Bombers are marching.
Marching and utilizing the pass and the run. It's a good mixture right now. They're a confident bunch. They've been moving the football. They've been taking some penalties that really have cost them. As we take a look, and let's take a listen.
comes Frank, warding the back out of bounds with his shoulder, but not until Roberts had another first down. Jones up behind his big center, Elawanibi. There's a reverse play. Marcus Howell's got to go deep to get by Booth. He gets a block, and I don't know if he got back to the line of scrimmage as the Eskimos strung that play out with terrific contain.
Well, the speedster from Texas Southern gets to the outside. He tries to break, a little trickery by the Bombers. Little reverse action, good speed. But Donnie Brady coming up, filling the hole, limiting the gain. They actually lost a yard on the play mark.
Jeremy Jones having trouble holding his block, and Booth got in there to push Howell deep. Officially, it's a loss of 1, 2nd and 11. In the shotgun, here comes a blitz again from the backside. Jones gets it away and out of the hands of Marcus Howell. So the Bomber receivers who had trouble at mid-season holding on to footballs are up to their old tricks again today in the cold weather.
And Mark, mid-season is one thing, but when you're going into the playoffs, that is at least the 4th drop ball this half. And I got to tell you what, you hate to use the word unforgivable. They're just unforgivable. He's putting the ball right where the receivers have to come up with these catches. These are drive killers, and once again, Troy Westwood has to come on and try for 3.
Westwood will have this one pinned at the 45 on the left hash. Head down, end over end, and he's got the distance and just enough. Troy Westwood, 3 for 3, and the Bombers creep closer. The Bomber receiving corps, their heads down on the bench. They've let their quarterback down on the first half, Chris.
Well, you know, they create a great throwing lane for the quarterback. He puts the ball up. You see, now Marcus Howell goes up there. He's facing the football, but he's just not looking the ball into his hands.
You say 4 drops, you're being awfully generous to the receiving corps in Winnipeg. Here's Pringle around the corner. Oh, Harold Nosh puts his head down and drills Pringle into a TV set.
And I love it. You know, you can tell that I'm working with a quarterback right now because I'm going to stick up for, I mean, Harold Nash basically hit Pringle. Pringle kind of lost his footing, caught his heels on the turf, and he went harder back into the TV set. You got all excited about this great hit, but I don't think it was that great a hit by Harold Nash. Yeah, he got him out of bounds. Watch, he just catches his heel right here. The big man goes back into the TV set, but when you play for Carlton, that is a big hit.
Another cheap shot. Last week it was the Carlton Poodles. 2nd and 8. Ricky Ray rolling. He wants to go deep. Vaughn pushes off Nash. Nash comes back to the ball and picks it off for the Bombers. So just like that, Harold Nash with a tackle and an interception.
Well, you want to talk about the valuable asset that Harold Nash is. He played corner last week for Marvin Coleman, who wasn't playing. Goes back to his halfback position today. Wonderful job of coverage down the field on one of the toughest guys to cover in the open field, Terry Vaughn. A little bit of pushing and shoving. 0-0 though, comes up with the ball.
See, Nash heard you slam him for that hit, and he comes back and makes the pick. His 2nd of the year. That'll help the Bombers. Here's Jones across the middle. Reggie Jones, a big target, has it for a big first down. Quincy Coleman makes the tackle for Edmonton, but not until Reggie Jones connects with Kahari Jones for 18 yards.
Well, Jones to Jones, but Reggie Jones finds the hole in the zone. Gets over a little pass off. He sits down. This is nice. He understands the offense. Gets there. Kahari Jones delivers him the football.
Hey, Jones has thrown nothing under 10 yards so far today. Coming back in relief under Pat Barnes. He'll go to the ground. Roberts. Oh, they caught him at the line of scrimmage. Dorian Boose with his big outstretched arms. pulls him down. Kahari Jones, Chris, they were concerned he might not be ready to play in the playoffs, let alone be forced to play here after the injury to Barnes, and he's really come up big.
I want to give you this scenario. Here's the thing, when you're playing and you know you're starting, sometimes you have to go to the pre-game jitters. You have to get nervous. You think about the play. He's so relaxed. He did not expect to be playing. All of a sudden he's thrown to the wolves. He didn't have time to react, so he's just playing. Natural football ability is taking over right now.
2nd and 8 for Jones and the Bombers. Here comes the blitz again. Jones downfield. Oh! Knocked down. Glenn Young went up and nearly caught it. But Milt Stiegel was the intended receiver down the seam.
Great job of Glenn Young getting down from that linebacker, a weak linebacker position, dropping deep into his zone. He's just going to drop back. You see him right there. Nice job of going up and getting his hands, his mitts on the football. It's a great drop by that linebacker.
Jones upset with himself. He knows with a little bit more air on that ball, it was a big play.
Sometimes you have to go over the person rather than through him.
Westwood to punt. Oh, a nice high spiral deep to the corner. Oh, and too bad for him, it bounces into the end zone. October will fall on it, and the Bombers will be called for no yards. There was no less than half a dozen Blue Bombers around the ball, but Westwood with a 61-yarder into the end zone for a single. November 1st on Sports Saturday. Becky Scott, recently upgraded from Olympic bronze to silver, is the subject of Women Warriors at 12:30 Eastern. We'll have an encore presentation of the World Aquatic Championships from Barcelona. Canadian divers sparkled there. The World Championships in tumbling and trampoline. And from Brazil, the Beach Volleyball World Championships from Rio de Janeiro. That's next Saturday on Sports Saturday. Ray, they hitch pass to Hervey, bobbles it, brings it down, then it's clothesline. Ryan Clark, the clothesline tackle.
You gotta love when your players are leaving nothing out. They're just giving it their all. Little hitch pass, Hervey's gonna try and duck back inside, and 48 is looking to take the head off at the shoulders. Boy, I tell you what, that excites me in the booth to watch a guy play with that much reckless abandon.
Eskimos having trouble into the wind here in the second quarter. 2 series, 2 and out, 1 an interception. Fans trying to drown out Ray. He throws down the middle, incomplete, intended for Tucker, and there's a flag back near the line of scrimmage.
Well, it'll be against the Eskimos. Eric Wilson for one saying, hey, you know what? They've thrown a couple on me today. This time it's against the other guy.
Holding. Edmonton number 53. Decline. 3rd down.
Well, Tim Prince in the center is going to get the hold. But the fired up Bomber defense. Last series interception. This time again 2 and out. All over the Eskimo offense.
So now Fleming will punt into this north wind. And Charles Roberts, the leader in combined yards. Back to receive. Eskimos hold off the rush. It's a short punt. Dropped by Roberts. He gets it on the first bounce. Oh, he gets a big block. Still on his feet. And finally wrestled down at the 50. But wow, what a block. And an 18-yard return. Sellers on the ground. The Bombers in good field position and moving the ball again.
Mike Sellers gets this football, and he is full speed. This is a low 260 slim down pounds, and he runs over Steve Charbonneau, who's 290 pounds. He picks up an extra 3 yards, just the momentum. I tell you, when you have a guy this big, you better utilize him.
Yes, he packs a wallop, Mike Sellers. 2nd down and 4. Jones will stay on the ground. Roberts, there's the seam of daylight, cuts back up, and A.J. Gass brings him down. But a huge first down on a 17-yard gain.
This offensive line is ready to play. And I'm not saying they weren't ready to play last week, but they are coming off the line of scrimmage today. They are taking no prisoners. They're staying on their blocks. Not just making contact, but working the legs, allowing Charles Roberts to get some seams that he can go through.
Charles Roberts, in his third year, 10 carries for 70 yards, a 7-yard average. Sellers gets the handoff, runs into A.J. Gass, and then drags the linebacker for 5 more.
And your team is so fired up when you see the house. 33, Mike Sellers. I talked about it earlier, the one-on-one. The middle linebacker, A.J. Gass, is responsible. He has to take Mike Sellers. Well, he takes him, but not after Mike Sellers doesn't take him for a little ride. He should start taking him. He just makes contact, lowers his shoulder, takes A.J. Gass back, and you know what? He should charge him for the ride he gave him.
We've hit the 3-minute warning in Winnipeg. Well, Mike Sellers left a welt on the helmet of A.J. Gass on that last one, Chris.
You know what? It's smash mouth football, picture worth 1,000 words. This is it right here. One-on-one football, Mike Sellers wins that battle.
And the badge of honor, that big scuff mark on the forehead of A.J. Gass. Bombers now with 11 first downs to just 4 for the Eskimos. And the momentum has shifted after those 2 big plays for Edmonton in the first half. That interception for a touchdown by Grant, and that fake punt by Mike Bradley. Jones and his offense threatening. Look at that! Charles Roberts breaks tackles to the end zone. Touchdown! What an effort!
Mark, I got to tell you one thing. In this league today, in the West Division, with all the outstanding player nominees, Dave Dickinson, Ricky Ray, and such, here is your outstanding player on the Bombers. And this picture right here will tell you why. Charles Roberts, look at the effort, the spin, the determination. That was what makes him the nominee for the outstanding player on this Bomber football team.
Westwood with the point after, it's good. And with 2:38 to go until the half, the Bombers have climbed back in front. A 4-play drive, all on the ground, Chris. 4 rushing plays, 50 yards to the end zone.
We talked about this when you have the likes of Roberts and Sellers, and if you don't use them, you don't deserve to win the football game. But this is God-given ability, talent by that man number 1, Charles Roberts. The refusal to be brought down, the spiking, the throwing of the football to the fans. They're into it. After being down 14-0, they are handing it to the Eskimos right now.
There he is, the outstanding player nominee in Winnipeg. Last year it was Stiegel, the year before Kahari Jones. It shows you the depth on offense of this Winnipeg team that's trying to finish. A team that's been so promising for 3 years, but yet to finish.
And how impressed are you with the guy by the name of Kahari Jones to come in when he should not be playing in there? How about his mental toughness when you're playing with a leg that some players would never be able to run on for 2-3 months after suffering a high ankle sprain?
Yes, Dave Ritchie was trying to tell reporters that yesterday, saying that reporters couldn't understand the pain he's in because they need dynamite to blow their nose. Here's Mike Bradley at his 12, full speed ahead, breaks a tackle. This looks dangerous, and he's draped and tackled from behind. Travis Ortega tracking him down after a 38-yard return. As we look at the anatomy of the last drive, 4 rushing plays. They traveled 50 yards. It was Sellers putting a big hurt on A.J. Gass up the gut. And then this tremendous effort. Mobley broken on that tackle. Roberts twisting and hustling to the end zone for the touchdown. Eskimos with their best field position of the day. A short pass to Pringle. And the rookie, Joe Morgan, with the big tackle from the safety position.
Joe Morgan, who Dave Ritchie says will be a star in this league. Here's a guy that probably weighs $180, and he is benching 350 pounds. He's a specimen. He's strong.
350.
And here's a guy coming up right now, putting the stick on one of the stronger guys in the league, Big Mike Pringle, and takes him down at the point of the reception.
This Bomber team is fired up. 2nd down and 6. Edmonton. Quick drop. Ray. Incomplete. Terry Vaughn, the intended receiver, and Tim Carter gets a measure of redemption. after being beat for that touchdown earlier.
Jim Carter comes back in and plays his football like a pro. Gets the hand in, plays him, stays with them, and then comes back and puts the hand on the football, not allowing Vaughn to come up with the catch. We also got to think about this, Mark. They talked about this game that some of these players on Edmonton may not play the whole game, Terry Vaughn being one of them. How long will they stay in the way that things are going now?
Marvin Coleman, the lone Bomber, back to give Roberts a rest after that tremendous effort. And a beautiful punt by Fleming into the wind. Coleman at his 15. Nowhere to go, and he's swarmed. Sheldon Benoit helping to make the tackle for Edmonton, a 41-yard punt and a 6-yard return. We've got ourselves a tremendous game, and a reminder, coming up in a minute 54, it's Brian Williams and his panel, Flutie, Frères, and Millington. And of course, the always popular History of Excellence coming up at halftime here at Canadian Stadium in Winnipeg. A minute 54 to go. The Bombers scoring 17 straight points here after being down 14-0. Kahari Jones pressed into service with the injury to Barnes, and he's been terrific. Back to pass, throwing down the seam. Reggie Jones has it, breaks the tackle. He's still going. Brady from behind will reel in. The ball's down. He's tripped, and the Eskimos have it. Donnie Brady catches up to Jones, strips the ball, and ruins the big play. Coleman has it for Edmonton.
Unbelievable. Looked like to us up here that he was trying to lateral the ball, with Donnie Brady with the hand in there punching the ball away from the streaking Reggie Jones, who does a nice job of avoiding the tackle, coming up with the catch. Now he goes down there, number 26 going to come in now and punches the ball out with his left hand, and Quincy Coleman comes up with the ball for the Eskimos.
Donnie Brady with a league-leading 7th forced fumble, and it nullifies a 65-yard gain. Edmonton on the ground, Pringle up the gut, and there's nowhere to go. Donnie Brady, 7 forced fumbles this season.
And all the coaches are going to say to Reggie Jones is, Reggie, you made the catch, you did everything right, now hold on to the football.
Yeah, the Bomber receivers have had their share of drops, and now Reggie Jones guilty of not protecting the football. Last week that was Edmonton's problem. 5 fumbles in the game. Second down at 7. Ricky Ray throwing a bomb. Ed Hervey is open on net, and he's got to come back and make the catch. Joe Morgan left the safety position on the blitz, and Ricky Ray made the read.
The old rule is if you're going to blitz the safety, and that's going to put your cover guys on man, you better get to the quarterback before he delivers the football. He comes in, it's a little too late. You got to time that better. And as a result, Harold Nash gets beat to the inside by Ed Hervey. Doesn't make a lot of catches against the secondary, but they're always big ones.
38-yard gain. The ball hanging up in the wind. But it's complete, and now Edmonton marching with 56 seconds and ticking until the half. The shovel pass, Terry Vaughn breaks the tackle on Kelly. He drops the ball. The Bombers have it. Marvin Coleman, vanished to the practice roster for 2 weeks, comes back with a big fumble recovery for Winnipeg.
What a game to be doing. What a game to watch. Excitement, the sticks that are going on, the defensive plays, little play action. Now they can shovel pass it to Pringle, but this time they shovel pass it to Terry Vaughn. Now look at Dave Donaldson. Meets him head-to-head. Brian Clark comes in there, may have caused a fumble, and as you say, Marvin Coleman, who's back at that starting quarterback position, up with the fumble.
So the Bombers get the ball back to stop what looked like a promising Eskimo drive. Roberts drops the pass right on the numbers. And so Kahari Jones has had no less than a half dozen drops today.
And again, the blitz is coming. It's the right read. Kahari throws it to his outlet pass. Roberts reads it, slides out to the flat, just cannot come up with the football. Another heartbreaker, goes up, hits him in the head.
He needs a pair of those flypaper gloves that Flutie used to wear. Second down, 10, 43 seconds to go. Again, it's a deep ball, way down the field. There's contact. Jamie Stoddard was the intended Bomber receiver against Crutchfield, but there's no call. It'll be a punt situation. Stoddard heads to the sidelines looking for his first catch of the game.
Well, Stoddard was the guy to try to get the football, but Reggie Jones also pulled up, and I think he's got a hamstring pull. He's walking off the field, Reggie Jones, and he is grabbing the back of his leg. Little contact from Crutchfield, but we got to wonder if Reggie Jones will be back, because that'd be a huge loss.
Westwood with a howitzer. October at his 35, a stutter step and good punt cover. Mike Sellers puts his head down to make the tackle on special teams for Winnipeg with 27 seconds to go. And there's Reggie Jones. They're trying to stretch out that hamstring. It's an awfully cold day in Winnipeg. We've seen it affect the receivers, and now it's starting to tighten up some muscles.
Well, they can ill afford to lose Reggie Jones, who has been a big play guy for this offense already.
Ricky Ray getting set to go back to work. This Edmonton offense has been in trouble here ever since the first quarter. The last drives, 1, 2, 3, let's see, 6 drives. They've had 4 2-and-out situations, an interception, and now a fumble. Ricky Ray, trouble. He'll get the ball away, and incomplete. Intended for Ed Hervey in the grasp of David Benefield.
Well, shows the strength of Ricky Ray, because he is in the grasp of David Benefield, who is going after his 9th sack of the season. But Ricky Ray, before he goes down, delivers the football short to the intended receiver to avoid the sack.
And the official slow with the whistle there, allowing the quarterback to get rid of it when he was in the grass. 2nd and 10. 21 seconds to go. Well outside field goal range. A draw. Mike Pringle cut down. McGriggs with a tremendous tackle right near the first down marker.
Well, McGriggs coming up and taking the wheels off the locomotive, taking Mike Pringle down after a huge opening. Delayed draw. Just going to sit back there and, after initial pause, give Pringle the ball, and then he goes down through a wide opening. But Lamar McGriggs just going down, taking him down hard.
And there's a milestone carry for Mike Pringle as he just goes past a big NFL back. Barry Sanders is now behind Mike Pringle in career pro football rushing yards. And he set his target on George Reed, and that'll be the milestone for next year. Ricky Ray deep, incomplete, too high for Ed Hervey as the ball falls to the turf.
And one of the things you see with Ricky Ray is you talk about his year, he's 68% success rate passing the football, but against the Bombers, to his lowest production at only 50-something%.
58.
They do a good job, and they're really covering the receivers well right now this afternoon, frustrating Ray somewhat.
Chris, right now Ricky Ray good on 7 of 15, so he's below 50%. And you're right, 2 of his 3 toughest games have been against this Bomber secondary. Ray to throw, wide side, it's complete to Winston October. No, he drops the ball himself as he headed out of bounds at the first down marker. So make it 7 of 16 in the passing department. Winston October fumbled 3 times last week at home.
Well, it's a scenario again of another case of drop balls, not concentrating. And once again, Edmonton will come on to punt the ball with 5 seconds left in the half.
It'll be interesting if Steve Armitage can find out from some of these receivers, you know, how hard it is to hold on to this cold ball. They know the ball gets hard in the cold, and a lot of these guys wear gloves, but it's to no avail here today as you've seen so many drops. A timeout has been called on the play by the Eskimos with 5 seconds to go.
Remember, we saw Mike Bradley on the fake punt earlier in the afternoon. Successful for a first down. With only 5 seconds, may there be a trickery play somewhere here?
Jones trying to stay warm. Mike Bradley had that tremendous 47-yard fake punt earlier in the game. Fleming into the wind has a 37-yard average. Or trouble here. They're going to go for it. Ricky Ray throwing. Vaughn, he'll quick kick the ball towards the end zone. It's in the Bomber end zone. Here comes October onside, trying for the ball, and he won't get there. And so Brian Clark will hold on. Winston October was dangerously close to recovering that onside quick kick, one of the tremendous foibles of this game in Canada.
Well, we talked about with 5 seconds left and nothing supposedly on the line for the Eskimos. Would they try some sort of a trick play?
And he's really got the officials in a quandary as they try to sort it out.
Well, they're going to form a real tight huddle because they're going to pull the playbook out themselves and have a quick peek at it. But the big thing is Winston October was back behind the punter. He's free because they threw the pass outlet to Terry Vaughn. So everybody's behind. It becomes live.
The clock has ticked to 0 as Tom Higgins had all kinds of trick plays in his arsenal or in his playbook last week and didn't pull them. Already today we've seen a fake punt, and that quick kick was a 56-yarder. Now the ruling from Ken Laszlo.
There is no infraction on the play.
Exactly.
Number 9 was onside. Ball was recovered by Winnipeg. 1 point.
But I'll tell you one thing, Mark. And the thing is that Brian Clark back there, he's right there. He is right there. That's the guy going to punt the football. That's Terry Vaughn. Now he punts the ball. Now, as it bounces in, Brian Clark kind of watches this ball. Now he slows up here, and very fortunate because the man flying in there is Winston October, and he almost comes up with the recovery.
So a single goes to Edmonton. They're down by 2 in a playoff prelude here in Winnipeg as we join Steve.
Thanks, Mark. Strange finish to a wild first half, Coach.
Yeah, it sure is. They claimed he was an onside player. I don't know. From where I'm standing, it didn't look like it, but that's all right.
You got to be pleased with the character your team has shown you both offensively and defensively in that first half.
Well, you can't give them a touchdown on an interception and then battle back. They battle back real hard. So, I don't know what happened down here, but 2 different people have penalties. I mean, this is like being I won't say it.
Kahari has answered the bell.
Yes, he has, and he's hurting, so they got to protect him.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Okay.
Dave Ritchie heads for the room with a 2-point lead. Brian?
Thank you, Steve. A very entertaining first half of football here in Winnipeg this afternoon. Blue Bombers, who are down 14-0 early, come back to take the lead. Some quick thoughts before the break.
Great first half, a lot of drop footballs, a lot of fumbles. Kahari Jones has looked very good. I thought the cold had frozen Richie's lips. He is already moving. But, Kahari Jones.
Maybe it's a good thing they did.
But Kahari Jones is hurting. He's got an ankle sprain, and he's moving pretty well. He's looking all right.
Well, hey, Charlie Brown may not be able to play football, but Charles Roberts sure can, and he's been awesome for the Blue Bombers today.
Blue Bombers with an amazing turnaround after being down 14-0. We'll take a break. We'll get the highlights together. The panel will be back with first half highlights and analysis. The Bombers by 2 in Winnipeg. Back live in Winnipeg on a cool, windy Saturday afternoon with Sean Millington, Greg Frères, and Darren Flutie. Good afternoon. I'm Brian Williams. Chris Walby said it best. What a football game to watch here this afternoon. Greg, let's begin. Edmonton explodes early in that first quarter. Let's show the pick by Grant and the injury to Pat Barnes, the Winnipeg quarterback.
Yeah, like you said, it's been a crazy game. It's been back and forth, and it started with a overthrown ball. Pat Barnes is trying to go downfield. Overthrown ball where Grant's getting the ball, and he returns it back 60 yards for a touchdown, second touchdown of the year. And this is Edmonton's Rookie of the Year nominee. But the thing that's significant about this play is right here is Pat Barnes gets high load and just torques on his knee, and that's just ugly to see. knocked him out of the game, got ice on that right away, and brought Kahari Jones into the football game, and he has been effective.
Dave Ritchie told me yesterday, I'm ready for any trick plays by Tom Higgins and the Eskimos. He wasn't ready for the fake punt to Mike Bradley.
Beautiful call to Mike Bradley, number 22 out of the University of Waterloo.
Hometown, Haliburton, Ontario.
Of course, you know that. It's beautifully schemed, and we'd like to draw this one up. Here's Bradley right here. Look at the guys that are going to lead the block right along the line, and watch what he does. He just kind of buys his hole, and then bang, once he hits it, straight up field. And take a look at this. It's a great call by Higgins. It's nice to take a chance. This gives, when you go into your playoff game next week, people have to defend against this, and that's very important. Well executed, big play, big part of the game because it led to Terry Vaughn's touchdown.
Now, by the way, Haliburton is just near Minden, Ontario, in case Darren was wondering.
Right, I'm heading up there.
Let's talk about Charles Roberts and a run by Roberts for a touchdown. He was simply outstanding. You predicted this before the game.
Well, Charles Roberts is just one of those amazing individuals who can take the ball and do magic with it. He's on this run, he just demonstrates an ability that I call sniffing the end zone. He knows that he's close and refuses to go down. Having been there a couple of times myself, it's a sense that you feel that all of a sudden you're almost there. If I can just take one more step, I'm going to be in, I'm going to score 6, and all that hard work's going to pay off, and Charles Roberts has it.
Listen, it may not be a word in Scrabble, as someone said here in the studio, but dropsies is the description, and fumbling the football. Well, let's show this Jones to Jones play.
Well, dropsies is a sickness, and it's very contagious today. A lot of people have it. This is a great big play. Kahari Jones passing to Jones. Big play. He's going to make a lot of yards, but what's he doing right here? The ball's out. Brady's coming up from behind, knocks it out right to his partner. You got to tuck that ball away. I mean, on a cold day like today, it's hard enough to catch the ball. Once you catch it, tuck it away and secure it.
What kind of a factor is the cold weather? I mean, I've seen cold weather games before, colder than this, with not this many drop balls. You were a receiver.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Mark has a point with the ball being slick or something, but I just think it's a case of the receivers letting the cold weather get to them. It's a mental thing. You know, you got to put that out of your mind. It's a big football game. Just catch it.
Hey, come on, Darren. I was showing the guys my hands earlier, and the tips of my fingers are white, and your hands just kind of stiffen up, and sometimes it does play a big factor. You can't maneuver yourself just the way you always are accustomed to.
Excuse.
They'll continue the discussion. Halftime in Winnipeg. Bombers with a great effort. Entertaining game. They were down 14-0. They lead by 2. Should be an outstanding second half.
The CFL, a history of excellence. Brought to you by Robax Platinum, helping you walk away from back pain.
November the 22nd of 1958, football fans here in Winnipeg once again braved the prairie weather to watch the legendary coach Bud Grant lead his Bombers into Game 3 of the Western Final against Edmonton. Quarterback Jim Van Pelt and the great running back Leo Lewis dominated for most of the day, staking Winnipeg to a 14-0 lead. But the great Jackie Parker and the Eskimos would not go down easily. A late touchdown gave the Bombers a 23-7 win. They were on their way to their first Grey Cup victory in 17 years. On this Saturday afternoon, the view across the Red River from St. Boniface to downtown Winnipeg. 3 new players inducted onto the Wall of Fame. Their numbers and jerseys here at Canadian Stadium. The best punter in CFL history. There's the great Bob Cameron. A quarterback that played only 3 years here but rewrote the record books. A buddy from TSN, Matt Dunnigan. And a builder with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Harvey Scribner, all having their names added to the Wall of Fame here at Canadian Stadium. What a football game this afternoon. Hang on. Mark Lee and Chris Walby with the second half right after this.
Everybody bundle up in Winnipeg as we get set for the second half, and here's Steve with Tom Higgins.
The Eskimos had momentum early, Coach, but you lost it. What do you have to do to get it back in the second half?
Well, just play. It's going to be fun. It's a tight football game. It was a chance to score a touchdown on the very last play. We ended up with a single. The fun part is come on out and execute. The wind's going to play a factor. We're going to let them have the ball in the wind in the third quarter, so we'll have it in the fourth.
The fact that you're down by 2 going into this half, does it mean you're going to stay with the starters?
No, there actually is one big change. Jason Moss will start the second half, but everybody else is playing.
Well, there you heard it. Jason Moss, the starting quarterback in the second half for the Eskimos, guys.
All right, interesting development, Steve. We know that Tom Higgins was planning to get some of his backups into this game, and what better time now to give Jason Moss a half of football with his team still in the game?
Well, I agree 100%. I mean, this is what it's about. You got to, you know, if something did drastically happen to Ricky Ray, you want to find out what Jason Moss can give you. Remember, in 2001, he was the nominee for most outstanding player from this Eskimo team.
Mike Sellers drops the kickoff. There's a pileup. The Eskimos think they have it. There's Jason Moss warming up on the bench on the stationary bike as he gets set to come into this game. And we look at the stats, and the Bombers really dominate in the first down department.
Well, they dominate in the second quarter. That was a big quarter for Winnipeg right now. 175 yards passing. And the interesting stat about that, Mark, 156 yards is Reggie Jones. That is how big a player he's been for this offense right now. Milt Stegall, the only other player with a catch for the Bombers, one catch for 19 yards. So that'll be interesting if they see if they can spread the ball a little bit more around to different receivers.
The Bombers win the scrum for that loose ball. They'll start at their own 45. Kahari Jones has favored the other Jones, Reggie. He's thrown 9 passes his way. Reggie Jones has caught 5. There's a fake and another drop pass. Marcus Howell drops the ball for the 3rd time. The Eskimos quick to grab it, thinking it was a lateral, but it's blown dead as we look at some of the drops today.
Well, it's a situation of everybody's taking their turn of having catchable balls being dropped to the turf, killing drives, and everybody's taking their turn from Jones to Stegall, and the big culprit today, though, Marcus Howell.
So Howell there with another drop. Jones in the shotgun. He's got pressure, ducks, and he won't get away from Robert Grant, who puts the sack on the veteran quarterback and brings him to the turf. Robert Grant with his 4th sack of the season. He had that interception in the first half and returned it for a touchdown.
A little bit of a blitz package coming from the bottom. Quincy Coleman coming through. Robert Grant coming. Coleman misses him. Robert Grant gets him. Mike Sellers doing the best thing he can to kind of gingerly allow his quarterback to be taken down for the sack.
So Westwood to punt. Numbers 25. Nice high spiraling kick with the wind. Winston October from his 30-yard line. Oh, a big block. John Spender drilled Wade Miller. But the return is limited to 10 yards on the punt cover of a 43-yard punt. Wade Miller paying the price there. And we remind you that the playoffs begin next week. It's the Eastern Semi from Toronto at 3:30 Eastern, followed immediately by the Western semifinal, and we're still waiting to see where that will be played. There are a lot of fans, I'm sure, Chris, in Saskatchewan cheering for the Bombers here this afternoon to help keep Saskatchewan's chances in that playoff scenario of hosting the Western semifinal. Straight up the gut, it's Mike Pringle, and he battles his way to the 45-yard line for a game of 5. Jason Moss has only thrown 7 passes this year, completed 5 of them, but not a lot of football. A lot of time holding the clipboard.
Well, he hasn't played since September 19th against Ottawa, so that's a little bit of time, but he has practiced and he can get the job done.
He spent this past week dunking his hands in ice water to try to get them cold and simulate these conditions. That pass dropped by Ed Hervey, and he should have had that one. But what do you make of that, putting your hands in ice water, trying to make sure that you don't have the same feeling you had a year ago at the Grey Cup, he said, when he couldn't feel his hands?
Sounds like kind of a reality show. I don't know if I'd be doing that, but hey, the biggest thing about Ed Hervey there, I mean, this ball was behind Ed Hervey. He has to kind of turn around and make the catch. So, I mean, you got to give him a little bit of credit sometimes. First throw, Jason Moss a little bit behind.
Fleming to punt. Charles Roberts, for a great first half on the ground, to return. Fleming into the wind, and that's a nice punt. Roberts at his 25, wants to get outside. The Eskimos, though, swarm him. There's a flag, and Roberts is hit hard. Spender and Bradley drill him into touch. A 40-yard punt and a 6-yard return. Flags on the play, and it's a holding call coming against Winnipeg.
Well, I think they're going to call Dave Donaldson.
Winnipeg, number 2,
who
first down.
Couldn't block Robert Grant. Robert Grant had the outside position and was just maintaining that as he was going down to not allow Roberts to get to the outside. And he's right there, and he's just basically watching him there, not really doing anything about the play, but they threw the flag late.
So first down, Winnipeg. Their own 20. Jones handing off to big Mike Sellers, puts his head down into Singor Mobley, and Mobley holding his ground there against the big running back from Winnipeg. And we remind you to check us out, CFL on CBC Online. Tell us who you think was the toughest player today and vote for your warrior of the game at the end of the third quarter at cbc.ca/CFL.
You got to look at Kahari Jones as well. I mean, here's a guy not expected to play, and what a trooper.
Yes, he has been tough today with the high ankle sprain, coming in after the first series injury to Barnes. Throwing hard, the hot read, and it's complete. Marcus Howell hangs onto that one with Malcolm Frank all over him.
Well, Marcus Howell brings it back into the football field with tight coverage by Malcolm Frank, but makes the catch. He's had a number of drops today, makes this one, has to go down low to come up with the grab.
Jones showing a limp there, and there's a shot to his lower leg after he threw the ball. So Jones was limping after that play. Charbonneau in there, Kinney in there, two big men. 1st and 10. Stumble as Jones went back to pass, knocked down Glenn Young again. That's the second big knockdown for the linebacker today.
Well, Glenn Young has been studying the receiver videotapes of how they drop the football. Therefore, he's picking up their bad habits. But as you say, number 55 drops back. A little bit of a stumble there on the play action pass to Roberts.
But you see Kahari losing his footing as he came away from the center and then having trouble setting up. So this painful high ankle sprain, extremely difficult to play with. It's amazing that Jones is in this game at all and functioning. Back to pass, pressure, the ball is away and incomplete. And the Eskimos came after Jones again on that play.
Well, Jones walking off the field unhappy with that last attempt. Basically had the right target, just underthrew him. And one of the things I thought after a first half where Winnipeg really picked up momentum and was dominating the Edmonton Eskimos, they've kind of come out a little flat. It looks like they're waiting for someone to kind of get them going again right now.
Westwood gets it away. Chevrier was close to blocking it. Here's October, zigzagging, and he won't go anywhere. 40-yard punt by Westwood, a 7-yard return. And there's some more pushing and shoving after the play in Winnipeg. You're looking at the injured ankle of Bomber quarterback Kahari Jones, trying to stay limber on the Bomber bench after that short offensive series, playing with a high ankle sprain this afternoon. Jason Moss at the controls, rolling out, pressure, throws it back in the middle for Pringle. It's incomplete, but David Benefield rushing the quarterback there.
Well, if you're going to run this play, you've got to at least get a chip on David Benefield. You cannot let your defensive end rush this free to the quarterback, because it forces the quarterback to get rid of the ball a little earlier than he planned. Just on the bottom right there.
Middle screen, and no good. So a 2nd and 10 situation for the Eskimos. Lamar McGraig's trying to get the fans into this game. Moss with time, stepping up. There's the pressure. He gets away. Moss rolling, looking for Herbie down the sideline. Incomplete. Ricky Bell right there, and there was some contact along the sidelines, but no flag, Chris. And Herbie is slow to get up.
Well, Jason Moss putting the pressure on the secondary of the Bombers, avoiding the pressure. Should have been brought down right there by Doug Brown. He gets out to the outside and then tries to loft a ball to Ed Herbie. But good close coverage by Ricky Bell. Ed Herbie comes up with a catch, but he's out of bounds.
Came right out of his shoe. And so Marvin Coleman is back to return this punt from Sean Fleming. 9:45 and counting to go in the third quarter. Bombers with the wind at their back. Fleming with a big punt into the wind. Coleman has to go back to his own 12. Gets a block. There's Mike Bradley waiting for him. And the special teams phenom makes the tackle for Edmonton. But Moss in relief. No relief yet for Edmonton. Harry Jones hasn't many completions, but they're for big yards, Chris.
Oh, big yards, and I tell you, the guy that's a big recipient is obviously Reggie Jones, who's had 156 yards in receiving. He's done the job. Stiegel only one catch for 19, but what I like from this chart is that Kahari Jones is utilizing the entire football field.
And at least a half a dozen drops by his receivers. First down, Bombers, tough field position. On the ground, Charles Roberts, and Dorian Boos wraps him up, hog ties him to the ground for a loss of 2.
Well, Dorian Boos, great job of just getting down, shedding the blocker, and sliding down the line of scrimmage. Charles Roberts is trying to find a hole. He's even attempting to cut back, but because of the way that Dorian Boos plays this play, he limits the gain and actually brings up Charles Roberts with a 2-yard loss.
2nd and 12. Bombers trying to make use of this wind while they have it here in the third quarter. 4 receivers to the wide side. Jones throwing down the seam and is too far for Reggie Jones, who pulls up again limping. Harry Jones looking through the seam, and Chris, the ball was thrown with authority, but again Reggie Jones having trouble running.
Well, good protection up front. He's just going to throw it downfield, and he's wide open right in the zone area. Take a look at Eric Wilson, the guy that's playing both ways at that guard, coming out helping Sheridan on Abdullah.
Reggie Jones, the leading receiver today, the feature receiver, couldn't catch that one, and an end-over-end punt from Westwood. October to center field quickly, trying to get outside with some blocks. There's a flag, and he's down by Brian Clark, and more flags now behind the play. And we talked about these teams not really liking each other, and we've seen a number of incidents after the whistle.
Jason Congdon involved in that one, but a lot of extracurricular activity all around the football field. Guys being taken down, laid on, pushed down after the whistle, and the flags, as you say, a barrage of them come down.
An 11-yard return by October, and the indication from Ken Lazarick is there'll be penalties on both sides of the ball.
There'll be a little bit of retaliation, a little bit of roughing against Winnipeg as they retaliate against some of the calls.
We heard Dave Ritchie at the half with Steve saying he was upset by some of the calls already in this half. One of his defensive leaders, Brian Clark, had a taunting penalty. And Lazarick still sorting out these calls. Now, it's official.
Holding, Edmonton, number 86, decline. Holding, Edmonton, number 88. Major foul, Winnipeg, number 40. First down.
So again, another bad penalty for the Bombers. Dave Ritchie not happy in the balaclava. There's the major foul there. A face mask battle between Scott Robinson and Congdon. And so it's first down. There's the shovel up the middle. Vaughn, look how he avoided the tackles there. And that's his 4th catch of the game. And that will tie a team record in Edmonton as we take one more look at the play. Terry Vaughn with 106 receptions in a single season. And it ties the mark set by Craig Ellis back in 1990.
But the thing that he exhibits is his ability to break tackles. Very few times do you see Terry Vaughn brought down by the initial tackler.
So there it is, 106, 13 years after Craig Ellis set the benchmark. Brian Kelly, 2 back now. The former great from the 70s. Terry Vaughn, 9 straight years, over 1,000 yards receiving. And he's at his most dangerous when he gets the ball after the catch. Double tight formation and a scrum at the line of scrimmage on the short 2nd and inches play.
Well, just a scenario of keeping the chains moving, get another first down, a fresh set of downs. Jason Moss trying to get a little bit of a rhythm going right now.
It's Tom Higgins who is telling us this year, you know, I got this job by default a year ago when they fired Don Matthews during training camp and gave me the job. He said players were crying. They loved Matthews so much. I felt isolated. Here's a guy who 6 times applied for a coaching job in this league and was refused. 6 times he was cut as a pro athlete. And all he's done is get his team into the Grey Cup last year, and here they are in the Western Final again this year. First down, Eskimos. Moss flags again. Pressure. Moss looking for help, and he won't get away. Eric Wilson, a force on defense, a force on offense this afternoon. And might that go down at his first sack of the game?
Well, it'll be his first sack. I want to know this. Now, does Eric Wilson get 2 paychecks?
Edmonton, number 82, decline.
I mean,
2nd down.
Not only is he starting on offense, but because of his aggressive nature, and he is a defensive tackle originally. That's where he was drafted as out of University of Michigan as defensive tackle, but they liked him on the offensive line because he brings that aggressiveness, that meanness, that attitude to that line. But comes up with a sack on that play for the defensive side of the ball.
Big loss of 5. It's 2nd and 15. Moss throwing to the far sideline. It's complete to Walters, but well short of the first down. Gain is about 7 on the play as Walters makes his first catch of the football game.
Well, and an equally nice job by Ricky Bell as they bring the safety blitz Joe Morgan on there to wrap him up. That's Harold Nash, down there grabbing him. Brian Clark coming over, putting the finishing touches on him, not allowing him to pick up a first down.
And Joe Morgan, the rookie, with another safety blitz there, arriving again just late, but enough to prevent a first down. As Fleming will punt now, just across his side of center field. Coleman again back to return for the Bombers. Fleming with a nice high towering hang time, and he angles this one out of bounds. So there will be no Bomber return, and for the 3rd series in a row, Winnipeg will start in top field position on offense.
It's been a busy but enjoyable week for Matt Dunnigan, named to the Bombers Hall of Fame. Matt, you only spent 3 years here, but obviously very special.
Yeah, they were, and won a lot of games. Didn't win the big one, but we had championship caliber football team and a championship caliber city. And tell you, Winnipeg's done more for me than I've done for it, and it's been a treat coming back this weekend.
The future of Matt Dunnigan, coaching in the CFL, Calgary, Hamilton?
I don't know, I hope so. I hope somewhere in Winnipeg, I don't know. I just give me an opportunity. You know, I'm not begging for one, but I think I got a lot to offer there. And if it's in the cards, it's in the cards. But I tell you what, the team that I'm on right now, TSN, and he knows, well, this is a great business, and I'm enjoying having an impact, you know, from that angle with the Canadian Football League. I got a great group of guys I'm with right now, and I'm enjoying that.
Have you talked to anybody about coaching?
Yeah, I have. And it's in my heart. It's in my blood. Who knows? All I know is your buddies back there, O'Brien and Sean and Darren and Greg. They're in a nice penthouse, and you're out here.
I'm freezing.
We need to rethink our thinking, right?
Thanks, Matty. Yeah, appreciate it. Good luck. Guys?
Yeah, I'll never forget that day here in Winnipeg, Chris. You won't either, when he passed for 713 yards in one football game, Matt Dunnigan. Sellers with a straight arm, gets outside, gas again. He wins that battle again. And a big first down. That was your 200th game, wasn't it, back when Matt had that big passing day?
200th game as a Bomber. The biggest thing is he threw for 713 yards. Alfred Jackson, what a day he had. Great memories. Boy, well deserved for Matt Dunnigan. Absolutely an honor to play with a guy of that caliber.
Yes, his best year in Winnipeg, 4,682 yards through the big sky here on the prairies. Big run there by Sellers, and they'll stay on the ground. Charles Roberts up the middle, and another gaping hole, and a first down.
Charles Roberts is so explosive that the play is designed to go to the right. Now the point of attack and blocking by the offensive line is to the right. But the backside, as he cuts it back, Getve and Jermise Jones, the backside guard and tackle, excellent job of walling off the defenders, allowing Roberts to cut that play back for a first down.
And with that carry, he hits the century mark in this game. And that's a rarity against the Eskimos. Roberts gets the call again. He beats Booth. Has to come back. Gets a block from his quarterback. And is pulled down, collared by Quincy Coleman for a gain of 4.
Well, Roberts, who reverses the entire football field to try and get something outside. As you say, over the 100-yard rushing mark for the first time against these Eskimos. And another note is when he does rush over 100 yards, this team, Winnipeg, is 5-0.
Edmonton, number 91, first down repeated.
No wonder Booth was in the backfield. He was offside. And so the Bombers dig themselves out of tough field position. And Roberts gets a breather. The league's leading rusher. 1547 this season. And there's still more than a quarter to go here today to add to that in the final week of the regular season. Jones, Sellers, and another big collision between the big back and the linebacker, Gass.
Well, I tell you what, after the game, they better be handing out some Advil because these guys are getting some headaches right now. They're meeting guys head on head. I love this. When you get this big bruising guy, they've had a dose of the little scat back, Charles Roberts, who basically will change direction at the blink of an eye, and then they come back with the bruiser, the big man, Mike Sellers, who lowers his shoulder pads and says, I'm not fancy. I can make you miss sometimes, but I'd rather run over you.
And that's enough for a first down. The Bombers will move the chains again. 56 yards on 8 carries for Sellers. That's 156 yards combined on the ground game so far today.
And after they started out slow in the first quarter, what got them fired up? The running game, and it's exactly what they're doing now in the third.
Dave Ritchie continues to slam it on the ground, as he told us yesterday. Hand off out of the shotgun. It's Roberts again. And he'll have a gain of 2, maybe 3 yards on the play.
And what did Coach Higgins say? If Winnipeg wants to run the ball at us, let it. They're running into the teeth of our defense.
Yep.
And we said in the pregame that, hey, you know what? When Roberts only gets to carry the ball 9 times and Sellers 6, you know, that's not a whole lot of carries. But if you give those two guys the balls more than that, things can happen, as we see Jermise Jones working his tail off against Rahib Abdullah.
Hey, the Eskimos normally allow only about 97 yards on average on the ground in a game, and already 156 and counting. Here's Jones, pressure, gets it away to Roberts, and he's got room on the outside, down the sideline. A.J. Gass finally drives him out of bounds. But a big play and a tremendous reaction by Kahari Jones under pressure.
Mark, that's exactly what it was. As Kahari Jones is down, he knows he's doomed right now. The pressure's going to get to him. But awareness on the football field, knowing where everybody is. Charles Roberts trying to block. He blocks Quincy Coleman on the blitz. Then he slides out. And Kahari Jones finds him, and then the speed of number 1 down the sidelines. Big play for the Bomber offense.
Look at the pressure from Edmonton. Jones first, second, then his third read, and he makes a 23-yard pass and run play with Roberts on the ground. Sellers now, he's got a good hole. This Winnipeg O-line is pushing the Eskimos around.
When you throw the ball every down, you're not fooling the defense. The defense will tee it off and come after the quarterback, and all they're doing is trying to get their stats up with quarterback sacks. When you start establishing the line of scrimmage with the run game, good things will happen to you. Boy, right now they're coming off, they're fired up, and they're getting success.
Yeah, the Hoggies are having a good afternoon, especially Eric Wilson going on both sides of the line of scrimmage today. Abdullah, he was the monster last week with 3 sacks. Here's Sellers, breaks a tackle, and he carries a couple or 3 Eskimos on his back for another first down.
Well, you talked about Eric Wilson playing on the offensive line, helping his running backs get over 100 yards rushing. He's also got a sack as a defensive lineman. Now he's going to pull and trap the outside guy. That allows that little seam for the big back, Mike Sellers, to get through there and pick up another first down.
So a sack and some big holes on the O-line, and as we near the end of the third quarter, I'm sure he's getting a lot of votes as the Warrior today. Bombers threatening, first and goal from the 9-yard line. Play action, good fake. Jones with time, finally throws it to the end zone. Touchdown, no! They rule it trapped. Reggie Jones going to the turf, but can't make the catch.
The referee on the goal line watching the play, looking in, says that Reggie Jones trapped the football, did not have his hands underneath the football. Nice job of getting away from the pressure and then throwing the football, and it's a good call by the referee as the ball hits the turf underneath the intended receiver.
This will be the last play of the third quarter, the last play with the win for the Bomber offense. Second and goal from the 9. Jones, quick release to the end zone. Stiegel, touchdown, Blue Bombers!
Well, you don't have to go to Milt Stiegel very often, but when you usually do, good things happen. Milt Stiegel changes and has to look over the opposite shoulder to make this catch. He gets a little bit of separation from the cover guy, Donnie Brady, but again, you talk about the other guys dropping the balls. Milt Stiegel, boy, I tell you what, if there's a guy in this league you know in a clutch situation could come up with a big catch, it's number 85.
Well, there he was yesterday telling his teammates to take care of their own jobs and play with confidence. He has his 14th touchdown catch of the season, the 24th touchdown pass of the year by Kahari Jones. And with this point after, well, the play is delayed now, the Bombers will extend their lead. The first scoring here in the second half. And Jones has been rock solid, playing injured this afternoon.
And you talk about the play of Eric Wilson, what a warrior. You talk about Milt Stiegel, never complaining, just trying to get the ball. How about this guy, number 17, coming into action? We talked about it repeatedly during the broadcast, playing with a high ankle sprain, not expected to play. They were even worried about him playing in the playoffs. Here he gets put into action, and boy, is he playing well.
Westwood converts the touchdown. And Milt Stiegel has his second catch of the day. There's Milt Stiegel with his third touchdown in 2 games against Edmonton.
Well, the nice thing about this is they're using this little bit of a distraction motion type offense. Again, everybody's lined up behind Curry before the snap of the ball. Let's run the play a little bit. Now I want to show something. Now freeze it right here. Here's Brady and here is Milt Stiegel. He misses the jam. He lets him go inside. This is exactly what Milt Stiegel wants. Brady left out in open space, cannot handle the likes of Milt Stiegel.
14th touchdown catch of the year for the 9-year veteran. Still looking for his first Grey Cup title as a Bomber. A short pooch kick, and it'll go out of bounds at the 37-yard line on the kickoff, and so the Eskimos will get it at their own 45 as we check the anatomy of that last drive. It started on the ground. Mike Sellers having his way with A.J. Gass, rumbling for big yards. Then a great play. Kahari Jones with 3 reads, and he dumps it off to Charles Roberts down the sidelines, and then with authority down the seam to his favorite target, Milt Stegall, for the touchdown. And that was the last play of the third quarter, and Stegall capping a 10-play drive that took 5 minutes and 50 seconds to complete. But now the Eskimos have the win, trailing 24-15 as we start the fourth quarter. Moss handing off to Pringle, and he is hit before he reaches the line of scrimmage.
Well, the defense is stepping up. Osterhaus is playing in there. Dougie Brown, the guys in the attack. As we take a look at the third quarter stats, and the big stat that just keeps climbing is the first downs for Winnipeg. They are moving the football with authority.
Look at the time.
Time is huge. Look at the passing, and look at that. They're talked about one of the things about Winnipeg is they have not found a good combination. That's a great combination of passing and rushing yards.
2nd and 10, Eskimos. Here comes the blitz. The ball is away. Herbie wide open. And Marvin Coleman makes the tackle at the wide side corner. And the gain is 14 and a first down.
Well, it's a wide side play, and the fact that Marvin Coleman has to come up and wrap up Herbie after he makes the catch shows just how much he's playing off of Ed Herbie. He really respects the speed of Ed Herbie, does not want to get bit deep, so he's going to let Herbie take those 9 and 10 yard catches.
Yeah, Herbie had one for 50 yards last week, so you know he can get you deep. Herbie and Tucker. First down. Bomber fans rising up. Moss rolling, throwing deep, and it's incomplete. There are flags. Ed Herbie broke his route off early. The ball was 20 yards over his head.
Well, a couple of flags thrown downfield. It'll be interesting to see which way they call this. The Bombers are hoping it's against the Eskimos, but of course they'd always do that, as I'm sure the Eskimos will be trying to say it's against the secondary of the Bombers. Offense or defensive pass interference?
Oh, it's going against the Bombers. Maybe Donaldson the culprit.
Legal contact on the receiver. Winnipeg number 2. First down.
Dave Ritchie is frustrated again.
Well, again, it calls into question whether this is a catchable football.
I thought the ball was way too far and overthrown, but it was the early contact that maybe didn't allow Herbie to get on the route. And that's the call, and so that'll move the ball to the Winnipeg 42 and a first down. Moss with a silent count. Pressure, gets it away, and Pringle makes the catch and then pays for it as Brian Clark drops him.
Well, Doug Brown again doesn't have a whole lot of stats this year. 3 quarterback sack, but always around the football. The giant at 6'7", 300 pounds, just going to keep working. Just keep using the arm bar. Momentum always driven toward the quarterback. Gets his arms around the waist of Moss. Moss dumps the ball off, though, and then, of course, his partner in crime. Watch him. He's watching it. He sees this and times it. Laying a shoulder pad right on Mike Pringle after he makes that catch.
Gain of 4, 2nd and 6. There's the blitz. The ball is tipped. It's intercepted. David Benefield one-hands it and is heading to the end zone. Forced out of bounds by the quarterback. There's a flag on the play.
They're going to call Corey Bailey for a hit outside of the football field, and that'll tack on additional yardage. But what great concentration and hands by the defensive nominee for the Bombers, David Benefield, after the ball is tipped on a blitz.
His first interception of the season, and the Bomber linebacker with a one-handed circus catch and a turnover. David Benefield forcing the 3rd turnover of the game. And a big one.
Well, they're bringing the blitz. Here's the safety blitz. Here's Brian Clark, and Kelly's going to come from the outside, but there's nobody in the middle. If they do not get this tip, it could go the other way real quick. Acrobatic hands shown there by David Benefield off the tip of Maurice Kelly.
32-yard return on the spectacular catch on the tip by Benefield. And the Bombers into the wind with a chance here to capitalize on the turnover. Play action fake. Jones in trouble, and Boost has him for the sack. Dorian Boost did not buy the fake.
He didn't buy the fake. He did exactly what he was supposed to do at the tackle, and that is stay in your gap, in your rush lanes, and go up the field and read the quarterback. Don't be fooled by the fake handoff to Charles Roberts. It's a nice job of coming up, and every time you see Kahari Jones go down, you got to wonder what he's feeling in that ankle.
I'll tell you what, there was a 4-yard gaping hole had Roberts taken the handoff.
He might be offensive coordinator.
Another guy wearing the headset for the Bombers. Second down, Jones throwing to the far side, wide open. Stoddard comes back to the ball for the catch. Short of the first down. The 14-yard gain on that 2nd and 19 situation.
Well, Jamie Stoddard with his first catch of the afternoon is so wide open on that far sideline that he's actually waiting for the ball to come to him. Gets it, now he's trying to watch his balance, sees where the marker is, tries to hopefully tightrope the sidelines, pick up a first down. Unfortunately comes up about 4 yards short.
So once again, the Bombers failing to really capitalize on turnovers. They have just 1 point so far as Westwood attempts his 4th field goal of the game, this one from the 25. He's been perfect so far. And he's 4 for 4. So 4 points for the Bombers on 3 Edmonton turnovers. And the Elvis boys are reveling here on a cold day in Winnipeg, the final week of the season. And the Bombers with a field goal to open a 27-15 lead. Chris, more alarmingly for Edmonton, that's 10 turnovers now in 2 games heading to the playoffs.
Well, that's something they said they want to get straightened out, and they'll have to do it quickly.
And might we put in a vote for this man, Eric Wilson, as we remind you to join us online at cbc.ca/CFL and vote for your warrior of the game. I don't know. What about this man? Kahari Jones also deserves the nod. Coming up big, playing with the high ankle sprain in place of the injured Pat Barnes.
Well, the team as a whole has risen up to this game after the game they put forth last week in Edmonton. They've answered the bell so far with 10-something left in the 4th quarter.
Young on the short kick, and he's quickly swarmed as Wade Miller puts him to the turf. And it's time now, Chris, to check in on your Canadian Tire game notes.
Well, the biggest thing we said is to stay focused, stay healthy. The biggest thing, you know your first place, no major injuries, 1 point since the 1st quarter. You know, they're focused. They just want to get out of there healthy. On defense, close the Barnes door. Well, I think they did that. That's pretty simple. Boy, that's... No, I just hope the Barnes family, I don't want any lawsuits coming. I mean, I put the jinx on them. First play, first attempt.
Hey, they slammed the door. A 60-yard interception returned for a touchdown on that first attempt.
They hit him with the garage door.
They did, and they put him out. Silent count again. Moss, wide side. Jason Tucker open, can't catch it. The diving effort incomplete.
Well, it's a good scenario right there. He got the matchup he wanted. Jason Moss had Jason Tucker going down and had Tim Carter beat to the outside. Tucker, unfortunately, just can't come up with a catch. Good protection at that offensive line. Throws it to the outside shoulder. Tucker gets his hands on it, just can't slow the momentum of the football, hoping to pop it back into him. He pops it back, but away from his body.
Tough luck for Moss, who is 4 for 9 for 34 yards. Chris, before he threw the interception, he had completed 4 passes in a row. Getting to play the second half after they gave Ricky Ray a rest. Sidearm on target to Hervey, but Hervey is about a yard short of the first down. It'll be a 3rd and 1 situation for Edmonton.
Well, 3rd and 1 on their own side of the football field, so that'll be an interesting call by Coach Higgins to see if he wants to go for this. Ricky Bell allowing Hervey to make that catch, but bringing him down a yard short of the first down.
Well, down by 12 and still lots of football left with 9:40 to go here in the 4th quarter. Higgins will punt.
Remember, we've seen 2 fakes already by the...
Yes, you're right. You never know what he's got up his sleeve. And the Bombers, look at the way they're lining up. They're wary of another fake too. Roberts back at his own 15. Bombers drop off to try to set up a return. Roberts reversing his field twice, and he is slammed. A.J. Gass, who's had a yeoman's effort here today, limits the return to 3. Welcome back to Canadian Stadium in Winnipeg. Next Sunday, the East and West semifinals coming your way on the CFL on CBC. It all begins at 3:30 Eastern from Skydome in Toronto. The Argos hosting, still awaiting a team from the West. Who will it be? The Bombers hoping to win here and prevent that possibility. And they can even host right back here next week should Saskatchewan win later tonight against BC. As we go to the sidelines, and here's Steve.
Thank you, Mark. More bad news for the Blue Bombers. Warren Muzyka, there you see him. He has a broken right arm and is obviously gone for the day. So the injury problems continue for the Bombers. Muzyka, the latest to go to the sidelines. It happened in the 3rd quarter. He was down covering a kick, broke his right arm, guys.
Tough break for Muzyka coming over mid-season from Hamilton, and the coach Dave Ritchie honoring him yesterday, saying the team is organizing Christmas boxes as that pass is knocked down by Charbonneau. They've organized about 100 Christmas boxes so far to give to poor children this year, and Warren Muzyka has come up with 11 of them on his own.
And that's an amazing thing, and the stat that I really found really warmed the cockles of your heart is the fact that he's a guy that doesn't have the big salary on this team, and yet has contributed that much.
Well, a generous football player indeed, and a tough break for him today with the broken arm. The update on Pat Barnes is, speaking of injuries, his right MCL, that's the injury. As Westwood gets set to punt, standing inside his 15, the play is whistled down as flags fly. So a couple of tough injuries for the Bombers in the last week. Dave Ritchie looks on.
Procedure. Winnipeg, 24. Still 3rd down.
Another Bomber penalty. 10 Bomber penalties already for 105 yards.
Well, remember last week when these two teams met, they each had 15 to 16 penalties, over 100 yards of penalties. Talked about the fact that these two teams really don't like each other and trying to set the tone should they meet in the West Final.
Oh, and a shank punt by Westwood out of bounds. It's still inbounds and finally rolls inside the Bomber bench. Westwood's only other punt against the wind, 32 yards, so a huge swing. Back live, Moss down the sidelines, and Walters stays in bounds and makes the first down catch. A huge swing in field position after that short punt from Troy Westwood, only 17 yards into the wind. So Edmonton here trying to use the wind.
And Walters doing a nice job finding the zone, getting a little separation from Harold Nash Jr. in front of Ricky Bell. And after the catch, knowing where you are on the football field, dragging the feet, making it a completion and a big first down.
At the Bomber, 26. Moss firing right up the middle. Corey Bailey unmolested to the end zone. Touchdown Eskimos.
Mark, we talked earlier, we actually diagrammed the play with the safety blitz. And we said had Jason Moss not had that ball deflected by Maurice Kelly and Benefield come up with that wonderful interception, that they could have scored a touchdown. Again, they bring the safety blitz. There's nobody in the back. This is wide open territory. If you get the ball to the receiver as he slants to the middle of the field where there's no safety, it's going to be a romp to the end zone. That's exactly what happened.
A 26-yard scoring play on the slant in by the rookie Bailey out of North Carolina. The point after from Fleming is good. And so the Eskimos make good with the wind at their back. And they close to within 5 of the Bombers. Albert Reese
baby. Hi, Mom. Hi,
enjoying the spotlight.
I love you.
Corey Bailey, who has his second touchdown catch of the year.
Well, they're going to bring look at all the blitz. They're bringing all the linebackers. As a result, there's nobody in the middle of the field. We talked about that fact that here he comes right here. Now look over here. There's Ricky Bell and here's Dave Donaldson. Don't do any kind of a switch. That allows him to come free for the catch over the middle.
And so we've got a football game here in the fourth quarter. The veteran Bell, the only unaccounted for defensive back. Corey Oates returning this one. He's caught by the legs, and again it's A.J. Gass downfield. The rookie Bailey with that big catch wide open. And it all began with a short punt of 17 yards into the wind, this north wind in Winnipeg. And Moss took advantage of the tremendous field position to start the drive, and a wide open Corey Bailey for the touchdown. Bailey on the roster in place of Troy Mills, who injured his ankle in practice this week. He got the import spot, and he gets a touchdown to help the cause here in the fourth quarter. Against the wind, the Bombers start on offense. Charles Roberts runs into traffic and is pushed back. And Booth finally drags him to the turf. Now let's check your Winnipeg Canadian Tire game notes.
Well, we thought on offense it was especially important to have confidence, time to believe, especially going into the playoffs. 395 net yards, 19 first downs, that's the way to do it. On defense, keep creating turnovers. 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery. You're doing your job there. The offense still, though, if they can capitalize, put more points on the board, Mark, after turnovers, they'd even be more successful.
Paul LaPolice, the offensive coordinator for Winnipeg, has dished up a pretty good menu today on offense. Harry Jones in the shotgun, looking, comes to the wide side and wisely throws it away. Roberts covered by Shannon Garrett, perhaps the best cover man in the CFL, according to many of the top quarterbacks.
Well, the bad situation here, though, is if you're a Bomber fan, is the fact that's a quick 2 and out, and you're deep in your own territory, and once again, you're calling on your punter, Troy Westwood, who hasn't kicked well into the wind. And remember, last time he shanked the punt, and Jason Moss quickly made the Bomber defense pay.
Westwood's punts into the wind today, 32 and 17 yards. So you're right, another field position situation. Oh, he gets a beauty. A spiraling punt. October at his 42. He gets a big wall. October tripped up as he goes across midfield. And a very dangerous looking return.
That all you got? Come on, man.
Going down. Yes.
Oh, God.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your deodorant is? Next time, use new Power Stripe from Right Guard. With a stripe of time-released odor fighters no other deodorant's got. Nothing looks like it, nothing works like it.
Yes.
Yeah. Right Guard, right to the end of the day.
Moss throwing and complete to Ed Hervey, and then he is drilled, held up by Bell. Wickman puts him down to the turf. But it's first down territory for the Eskimos. The Bombers unable to answer the touchdown on the last Edmonton series, and here we go again.
Well, the big thing that Jason Moss does so well is he gets a good pre-snap read and sees the corners playing off of the wide receivers, quickly delivers the football to the wide receiver, and that puts pressure on the cornerbacks of Winnipeg to have to make the tackle right there.
Moss has completed 8 of 13. There's Benefield in the blocks. Handoff, draw play. And they've got Pringle. It looked like somebody had his face mask. Well, he's upset about it.
I think Lamar McGriggs, as you say, Mark, had him by the face mask. There was no flag thrown. He's upset about that. Got away with one right there. And then the rest of his teammates swarmed to kind of hide the infraction.
And they've got Pringle for a loss of about a half a yard. Here it is, right there. Second down, a little more than 10. Moss stepping up, firing downfield. It's complete to Jason Tucker in traffic for a first down. A 16-yard gain, and there were 3 Bomber defenders all around him.
Tucker found the hole. He sat down. The guy you got to give a lot of credit. The offensive line picks up the blitz. Again, they're going to bring Maurice Kelly from the short side of the football field. He's picked up. That allows Jason Moss that extra second to go downfield and find Tucker.
And Dave Ritchie can hardly bear to watch as the Eskimos are marching. 5 completions in a row for Jason Moss. He's hot now. Throwing to the end zone for Hervey. He can't reach the ball. Going after the rookie Tim Carter again. That's exactly where they got him on the Vaughn touchdown.
And you got to remember the scenario that's happening right here. Jason Moss is getting an opportunity to play. Now, he doesn't care if his team's in first place. He doesn't care if everybody gets a week off. He is auditioning right now. He's coming out fired up, trying to make things happen on the offense, and he's doing a good job of mixing it up and throwing deep, throwing short, getting all his receivers involved.
Moss has already thrown twice as many passes in this half of football than he has all year as a backup. Coming back from the back surgery, losing the starting job. Here he is again. Moss throwing the corner route. Tucker! Touchdown! Edmonton! Jason Tucker! His second catch of the game. And Moss hurries to join the celebration. A 24-yard pass and run play, and Edmonton takes the lead.
Jason Moss, first touchdown toss of the season, and he goes right back to Tucker. Tucker, you know, they talk a lot about the receivers, Mark. The fact is the receivers come to the huddle and they go, don't forget about me, I've got this guy. Now it's a different cover guy. We've seen Carter, this time was Dave Donaldson, and basically he's just running a corner route, gets separation, and Jason Moss puts this on the money.
And Tucker making his first 2 catches of the game on this drive to help set up the scoring toss, and the Eskimos will go for the 2-point convert, up by 1. It's the right call. If they get it, they'll lead by a field goal with 2:47 to go in regulation time. Moss in the shotgun. Bombers drop into coverage, rolling with pressure, throwing to the end zone. It's complete on the deflection, and it's Tucker again off Donaldson's tip. And so Tucker with a 2-point conversion of his own touchdown, and Edmonton leads by a field goal. So Jason Moss igniting this Eskimo defense in relief. Jason Moss with his first touchdown pass of the year, a man who led this team to the West Final 2 years ago, got injured last year, Chris.
And here you got to like this. He's over here, and here's the cover guy, Dave Donaldson. Now watch what happens. He goes here, and they get tangled up, but his speed is just too much for Dave Donaldson. Comes off, there's a bit of a jam. Donaldson kind of grabs him right there. Then the speed takes over. He gets separation. And again, we talked about the nice touch of the football throw by Jason Moss. 24 yards later, it's a touchdown for Tucker.
Fleming with the kickoff. Roberts at his own 17. Straight up the field, breaking arm tackles. And finally, Roger Reinson wrestles him to the turf at the 45-yard line. A 29-yard return for Roberts.
Closed captioning is brought to you by GMC. GMC, building legends.
Bombers back on offense. 2 minutes, 40 seconds to go in regulation. They need a field goal to force overtime. And they're going into the teeth of this Winnipeg north wind.
Oh, what's up?
First down at their own 45. Jones handing off to Roberts, and he's smacked at the line of scrimmage for a gain of 1. Chris, they've got to get the ball to at least the 35 to give Westwood any chance of hitting the field goal.
Well, because of the wind, and they want to try and still establish the run right here, but Raheem Abdullah comes and just beats Matt Sheridan's block to the inside, and he grabs Charles Roberts before he can get any kind of opening.
Second down and 9. Bombers 30 yards from the Edmonton 35. Here comes the blitz. Jones is sacked. Quincy Colin. And it's the third sack of the game for the Eskimos.
Well, this is where you find out the character of your football team. You've had your way with them from the second quarter on. All of a sudden, Edmonton switches that switch on, gets 2 quick touchdowns, and then you know when the game is on the line that you've got to get some protection for your quarterback, and Edmonton brings the blitz, and this time gets to him for the third sack of the afternoon, but more importantly, forcing the punting situation again with 2 minutes and ticking.
Westwood standing inside his own 25. Hits the ball end over end, trying to keep it low, a la Bob Cameron, and it'll bounce out of bounds at the 49. So a better effort into the wind for the Bomber kicker.
Running water is a waste, but I have a solution. The new Faucet Genie. It's a motion sensor faucet adapter that turns water on and off. It's easy to install. Just tighten and set the temperature. Put it on all your faucets, especially where hygiene is important. Your children won't overflow the sink or scald themselves. Save up to 70% in water and related energy costs. The Faucet Genie, only $39.99. Another innovative product found only at Canadian Tire stores and online.
One field goal separates these teams, and a huge tackle by Denny Fordney. Down the line to stop that play by Pringle.
Denny Fordney just fighting off the block, coming all the way down, right off Chris Morris, wrapping Mike Pringle down for no gain.
And Pringle's last 3 carries have all been losses. Now Jones on the phone to the spotters booth, and a timeout has been called by Winnipeg. All that police up there, the coordinator.
Well, that's exactly what they're doing. They're going over their play selection, and they're making sure they're on the same page. They're seeing the same thing.
Right now, the defense has got to come up big here for Dave Ritchie and the Bombers. In a 2nd and 10 situation. Bombers need to get the ball back if they have any chance. 1:59 to go. Moss rolling, pressure, steps up and throws deep. Intended for Tucker. It's intercepted and it's ruled incomplete. Jim Carter thought he had it, but he breaks up the big play.
Oh, he thought it. That's a great way to this time. They got beat earlier. He reads this ball in the air and he makes the break on the football. He actually curls in front of the receiver to come back to the football. Getting his hands as we take a close look at it as he tries to hold on to it as he goes out of bounds. But the tip of the ball hits the ground, and it's a good call by the official.
Fans don't like the call. They thought that Carter may have had possession for a second anyway, and anyway, it's academic. It's a punt situation. Fleming hits a hard punt to the far side, and he'll get a good bounce. It'll go out of bounds at the 23-yard line, a 39-yard punt with no return for the Bombers.
No return, but remember one thing also, no time off the clock. So that gives Winnipeg's offense 1:45 to work something.
Harry Jones, his numbers don't really tell the story today. He has been terrific, had a lot of drop passes, and he's paid the price, Chris, in the pocket.
Well, he's taken some hits all afternoon. They blitzed him from every angle. Coleman, Grant, the big offensive lineman, the defensive lineman getting in there, but he hung in there, trying to make plays. And what has he got left?
Now he's got to drive this team into the win. 1:45 on the clock, throwing downfield, and it's over the head of Marcus Howell, who came back to the ball. Jones threw the out.
Well, one of the things that happens is your receivers have a read route, so they basically go inside or outside. This time Howell comes inside. Kahari Jones thought he was going to take it to the sideline, and that's where he threw the football.
Dave Ritchie anxious on the Bomber bench. 2nd and 10. Len Young looking into the Bomber backfield. Here comes the blitz. The ball's away. Roberts has it. There's a flag. Roberts looking for the first down. He'll have it, breaking a tackle. And A.J. Gass throws him out of bounds. And the Bombers don't like it.
But, Mark, I want to see what the flag is, because I got a feeling they're going to call Jamie Stoddard on a pick or a rub. That allowed Charles Roberts to be so wide open in the flat. That's where the flag was thrown, and I'm wondering if that's what they're going to do.
The 19-yard gain, as Al Bradbury, the line judge, explains his call, his flag, to the referee, Ken Lazarek. He's consulting the Bomber captain, Milt Stegall, so this looks like it's going against Edmonton.
Legal contact from receiver. Edmonton declined. Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Edmonton, number 92. First down.
Oh boy, Tom Higgins won't be happy about that.
Oh, that's a big break, because I tell you what, from where we looked and watched the play, and we saw Stoddard come from the outside inside and actually take both defenders that allowed Charles to get free in the flat. We thought that that's what they were going to call. Goes the other way, and a big break for the Bombers.
Now Troy Westwood pacing and trying to stay warm on the Bomber bench. 1:32 to go. Jones throws across the middle to Milt Stegall. He's got it. Close to a first down. Gang tackled, and A.J. Gass is in the mix again. What a day he's had on defense.
He's been everywhere, making tackles on the running backs, on the receivers, but whoa, the strength of Kahari Jones. Boy, he put this on a rope right into the midsection, right between the 8 and the 5 of Milt Stegall.
Second down and 2. At the 44, Bombers trying to get to the 35 to give Westwood a chance for a field goal. It's complete to Mike Sellers, puts his head down and dives for a huge first down.
It all starts with the protection up front. You got to give your quarterback a little time. Mike Sellers stays in there as an extra blocker and then slides out, and Kahari Jones just dumps him the football. Once number 33 gets it, then it's going to be who wants to come over and sacrifice the body to bring him down.
First down across the 30 of Edmonton. 1 minute and 1 second and counting. Jones throwing to the end zone. Steagall's open. He's got it. Touchdown, Winnipeg. And they're wild in Winnipeg. Steagall's second touchdown catch of the game. His fourth in 2 weeks against Edmonton.
Fourth in 2 weeks, Mark, and he beat their best cover guy, Shannon Garrett. Edmonton's going to bring the blitz, one-on-one coverage. Milt Stegall going against their best cover guy. He just beats him. Kahari Jones throws a beautiful pass, and Milt Stegall runs underneath it, and with 55 seconds left and the convert to come.
It's a key point, and it's good.
Another lead change.
And so the Bombers go up by 4. That means the Eskimos need a touchdown. Kahari Jones exuberant after a clutch veteran touchdown pass.
Well, great protection to allow him to get this ball off. And I tell you what, we talked about it. Both teams have been burned when they brought the blitz. They pick it up. Kahari Jones stands back there, throws a beautiful pass. Milt Stegall just runs away from the coverage of Shannon Garrett. And boy, I tell you what a time to come up with a big play. Fans are loving it here.
Kahari Jones to Stegall. It's a famous combination in these parts. It's the 15th touchdown catch of the year for Stegall. Those still in the stands on this cold day, a lot have already left, giving up on their team, witnessing a tremendous comeback. Kahari Jones, 313 yards and 2 touchdowns, both to this man, Milt Stegall.
Will we see the pooch kick again? They've been kicking it to Glenn Young twice.
There's still lots of time, Chris. 55 seconds, and the Eskimos have the win. You want to get it deep. Westwood waiting for the whistle, and the ball's away. Oh, it's a good kick, forcing October back to his 14-yard line, but he gets a big hole and finally knocked down. Maurice Kelly with a tremendous tackle, and it looked like the return was going to be a big one. So Kahari Jones is on the bench. He's done his job today.
Well, just sits back there. We talked about it, but boy, opportune times. You got to go to your big playmaker, and that's exactly what Kahari Jones does by finding Milt Stiegel, as you say, with his 15th touchdown.
Now, what's Jason Moss got? He's got 49 seconds. He's thrown 2 touchdown passes in the second half. Coming in relief of Ricky Ray. Downfield, it's complete to Ed Hervey, very close to a first down. Joe Morgan, the rookie, safety in on the tackle.
And what you're going to see right now is Edmonton is going to try and take what Winnipeg's defense is going to give them. I don't think you're going to see too much blitzing from the Bombers right now. They're not going to get a chance or take a chance on getting burnt deep. They're going to keep their safety in the center of the field, drop their linebackers, maybe bring one guy just to try and keep Jason Moss off balance, but you're not going to bring the whole house.
There's the measurement. It's so close. It'll be second down and inches.
And this is a big play for the Bombers, and the fact is they have to get a first down to get a fresh set of downs, but it wastes one down. They may go deep right now because they know they can get that short a distance on third down, but it eats more clock as well.
Great call, Chris. You're right. This is a free down. The Bombers need to be wary. Second and inches. The fans now on their feet. Half of them have gone home. And Moss will sneak the ball. And Benefield will hold him up along with Fortney. He'll have the first down. 39 seconds to go in regulation time. Edmonton down by 4. They need a touchdown here.
And they're going to go no huddle.
Fire offense. Moss coming into this game having thrown only 7 passes all year. Trying to rally Edmonton. Throwing deep, wide side, wide open is Corey Bailey. And he has the first down. Tim Carter was the nearest defender.
One of the things that happens when you go fire offense is sometimes you get miscommunication on the defensive side of the ball. That's an example right there. They didn't have the right guy covered, and Corey Bailey wide open on the sidelines.
For a 12-yard gain and another first down. It stops the clock by going out of bounds too, Chris. And now Dave Ritchie is hunched over. He can't bear to watch. Sheridan trying to get the fans whipped up. Moss throwing down the middle. Incomplete. Intended for Terry Vaughn. Dave Ritchie did not see a thing.
Well, yeah, he's praying. We know he's a religious man right now, and he's asking the big guy upstairs to give him a hand. But Dave Donaldson just watching Terry Vaughn down the seam.
And there's Dave Ritchie during the play. 24 seconds to go. Second and 10 at the Bomber 49. Jason Moss back to pass. There's pressure. Looking for a receiver. Rolling now. Throwing a high ball. It's a battle. It's intercepted. Tim Carter has it for Winnipeg, and there are flags on the play. It looked like Vaughn was all over the defender, and now he and Fortney are having words and a pushing match after the whistle. Chris, this should be offensive interference.
Yeah, that ball was thrown up with a prayer and a hope by Jason Moss, hoping that Terry Vaughn can come up with the catch. Intercepted by Tim Carter.
Pass interference. Edmonton number 3. Decline.
And that will seal it for the Bombers.
Well, what a gutsy performance by the Blue Bombers to come back after they had dominated much of this football game and quickly allowed Edmonton back into this fourth quarter. And then to come back, dig deep down in their own inner self, and come out a victor.
Well, this was the effort that Dave Ritchie wanted to see, and now Kahari Jones with 14 seconds will kill the clock. Tim Carter with his 3rd interception of the year. Dave Ritchie can now bear to watch.
Well, he'll be trying to get some radio tune to that game tonight, because now he's done his part and he's hoping that Saskatchewan can beat BC to give Winnipeg home field.
You got it. So the Bombers have at least third place as the clock ticks to 0. Kahari Jones, and a magnificent display of moxie and leadership. Mike Sellers and the ground game in full gear, and Dave Ritchie's football team with a chance to host, depending on the outcome tonight, as you mentioned, hoping for BC to lose to Saskatchewan. As we go down to the field, and here's Steve.
Thank you, Mark. Kahari Jones, how was it possible for you to be so effective with what obviously was a painful injury?
I don't know. Just didn't think about it too much. When I saw Pat go down, I think the adrenaline started flowing and everything, and I didn't really think I was going to play. I still had my watch on, so but we were able to still come out here and do some good things and get the win.
And you don't know where you're going, but the best of luck in the next round, the playoff round.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Kahari Jones, the big star for the Blue Bombers in their 34-30 win over the Eskimos.
The CFL on CBC, brought to you by Rogers AT&T Wireless. Imagine getting more from your phone. Play of the game, brought to you by Subway.
Here it is, fourth quarter. Kahari Jones to Milt Stiegel. The blitz was on by Edmonton. Stiegel beats Shannon Garrett. 55 seconds to play. It was 34-30. Play of the game brought to you by Subway. Some quick thoughts on this one before we talk about Saskatchewan, BC. Darren.
Well, the final drive, Kahari Jones utilizes Charles Roberts, Mike Sellers, and ultimately Milt Stiegel. Those are the guys you need to use.
It's a great game for both teams because it was playoff caliber football and you felt the excitement, so it's good for both teams.
Walby likes to talk about his Warriors, and Kahari Jones stepped up and was a Warrior today.
All right, here's the playoff scenario here in the West. Winnipeg winning. If BC wins tonight, BC will host Winnipeg a week tomorrow. Saskatchewan would go to Toronto. If Saskatchewan wins tonight, the game is here in Winnipeg a week tomorrow. Winnipeg hosting Saskatchewan, and BC could go to Toronto. So BC can be second or go for the crossover game in Toronto. Some quick thoughts, just a couple of seconds on Saskatchewan, BC tonight.
Saskatchewan, BC tonight. I like BC. They're inside their dome. Dickinson and those receivers. I think BC will have a good chance of winning that football game.
I see Travis Moore. He's healthy, and they're running the ball extremely well. Corey Holmes doing a good job, so they're going to have to stop the run.
Well, I got to say, I still bleed orange and black, and I say BC's going to go all the way.
All right, last word is yours. Happy birthday to who?
My daughter, Lyric. She's going to be 8. Happy birthday, honey.
Happy birthday from all of us. Just a reminder, TSN is a game tomorrow afternoon. It's the Ottawa Renegades against Montreal. We're on the air a week tomorrow with the semifinals. The first game is in Toronto. The second game is either in Vancouver or Winnipeg, depending on Saskatchewan, BC tonight. Early hockey in about 25 minutes from now. Toronto home to Washington. There's also a game in Montreal. Big matchup, Ottawa and Montreal. The network game is Calgary at Edmonton. For all of us, Winnipeg wins a thriller, an outstanding game. So long from Winnipeg. You've been watching the CFL on CBC.
CBC Sports, Canada's Olympic Network.